Hello and welcome back to Guthix Rest episode 9, where this is not my podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm joined by the usual co-host,
Birdfacts. That's me.
Whoa.
Did
I cut out a little bit there? Go too fast for you?
Sparre, you're now?
Yeah. I was gonna say that's why you said that's why
Did we rebrand?
I paused there. I was like, what's going on? He said he's what?
No, that'll be the one censor of the episode.
Just bleep.
Or I guess the six censors since we said
bleep when you say bleep it all.
That's why I was like and I'm Bird, because I was like, there's no way he just said that.
Bird was contemplating his own name.
I was like, should I say something different, or is this part of the bit?
No, I was reading my my side monitor. I was looking at what I had sent Michael in the past, and I was just like, yeah, just say my bit, say my name.
Oh no! Did it throw you off
it wasn't my fault. Sparre,
did it throw you off? Sparre, come on now. Does it throw you off that I use a real name and you guys are like screen names?
Maybe. I don't know. The problem is, like, Sparre is also my real name.
Yeah.
It's just my last name.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, official doxing.
Who would do that?
Yeah,
so if you know his first name, then you basically know his social security number. So
right? There's got to be... You're the only one with that name in the entire world.
So true.
I mean, Sparre is, like, a really uncommon name. Like... It's just my family in the U.S., and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. You basically got the social security number because you know his first and last name.
It's like a 1 in 5 chance if you just find a Sparre. I don't know how many people are in your family, but that's a guess.
You know, there's a lot of Sparres, but that's just because all the males in my family just have a ton of children, and they're all also dudes. So we're just, doing the best to spread our name.
Nice. Yeah, the name is strong. The genes,
yeah, exactly.
Or like the family lineage. I don't know, the family lineage.
Yeah, there's no girl named Sparre that hasn't married into the name.
Oh.
That's wild.
Huh.
Yeah. At least up until you get to my great-great-grandfather, which is when the name got invented, when my family came from Sweden and was like, Anderson? That sounds way too Swedish. Can't have that.
No.
So they thought Sparre sounded not Swedish.
That's cool. At least you know your family lineage. A lot of people don't. Like, I have a vague understanding.
I had to do a lot of research for one of my classes, so I dug into all that, and so I learned that.
Like it. I love it.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I've been super excited for this. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is a little bit weird to be on this side of the microphone.
Yeah. Have you been you've been a guest on other podcasts before, right?
I was on the Wilderness podcast for one random episode, and that's it. And then my own podcast. Yeah, the only other one I think I probably could go on Lumberjack Lounge if they needed a host.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it was like Dill's message to Oxy and I, and then we were like recording that next afternoon, like the next day. We recorded.
Oh, wow.
And then he threw it together basically unedited. It was kind of a mess. Because I think he was like very busy. Like he had family in town, and then he just needed to get something out. And I can't even remember what we were talking about. It was, honestly, I don't remember. It was an update that Oxy and I may or may not have had knowledge about, and we kind of vaguely talked about it. And then it was like an hour.
I mean, that's our whole show, is vaguely talking about updates that we may or may not have knowledge about.
So my resume is strong for this show then.
I'll be honest, I'm completely out of the loop here. I don't really listen to any old school podcasts or RuneScape podcasts for that matter, or really podcasts for that matter at all. I will admit up front, I have not seen a single episode or heard a single episode of the XP Waste podcast.
Oh, wow.
So apologies, I guess.
No, you don't have to apologize. No, like, I mean, before Oxy, he's my co-host.
Yeah.
Before he was making a podcast, he had heard one episode of one podcast. And when I asked him, he's like, "What's a podcast?" So it's okay. It's not a
more
job
common
requirement.
than you'd think.
Yeah.
Like a lot of podcast hosts that I listen to will talk about how they don't listen to any other podcasts. Like they'll record it and be a participant, but they don't care to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's totally understandable.
I used to listen to podcasts a lot because, and that was kind of the reason I wanted to make a podcast, is because it was like, there's like one really good podcast for RuneScape, and like I want to do that. But I used to listen to a lot of podcasts because for the job that I had at the time, I was like, TLDR, I was just delivering phones for AT&T to people. I was hand delivering them, and I was helping them set them up. And so I worked a 10-hour shift, and of the 10 hours, I was in the car driving around for probably 6 to 7 of those hours, maybe 6.
Yes.
And so it's like
that's a lot of time.
6 hours a day to just consume like podcasts and audiobooks. Like I would finish 30 or 40 hour audiobooks in a matter of days. It was like I loved doing that job for that reason, because I just got to consume a lot of media. And I kind of miss it. Like I don't really listen to podcasts anymore. The ones that I do listen to are like D&D podcasts whenever I have a long drive. And then I listen to y'all's show.
That's pretty much all I listen to as far as podcast goes. So
yeah.
Do you have any D&D podcast recommendations?
The only one I actually listen to is NADPod, not another D&D podcast.
It's
like
NADPod.
I've listened to almost every single episode. I'm a little behind. I'm probably like 20 or 30 episodes behind there, I think, on their newest campaign. But that's just because their episodes are like 2 hours, and like a drive for me is sometimes maybe 30 minutes at most. I was listening to a lot more before I moved. I would take my son to school and go pick him up, and it was like an hour round trip. And so I would get an hour in the morning and like an hour going to get him. And that ended because now we moved and now we're like 3 minutes away. So
I bet that's great.
It's so nice. It's so nice. Like I don't have to take a lunch and a break. Like I don't have to combine my lunch and my break to leave work to go get him. I can just tell them, "Hey, I'll be back," and they don't care. So it's really nice.
That's awesome.
Because I work from home, so
yeah.
But yeah, happy to be on the podcast. Are we talking about Forestry today? Is that the update that's most recent?
Yeah. I mean, I know Bird and myself have some pretty strong opinions on the Forestry stuff.
Yeah, I keep a running list of things to talk about on the podcast. And there is some bullet points here about some of the things that they talked about. Some of the other things we can talk about, though, we didn't talk about the Game Jam survey, which I don't think had much in terms of... They had 2 surveys on the Gielinor Gazette. They had the Game Jam one, which I don't think had anything beyond stuff we had already talked about on the podcast. But they also had one about quests, which I kind of want to talk about. I don't know if either of you did that survey, but
no, I didn't actually do that survey.
There were some interesting questions on there that I had some opinions about.
Okay, I didn't take the survey.
Was that in the May Gielinor Gazette?
Yeah, it was in the most recent Gazette. They had a survey for both the Game Jam stuff and for quests. About how quests are currently released, how the storytelling for quests works, stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll be entirely running that one then, because I haven't looked at that. But
and then of course from there it's bounty hunter stuff that I know nothing about because I don't do PvP, and then Forestry. So,
lucky or unlucky for you guys? I know nothing about bounty hunter either, so
let's go.
I think that's lucky. I think we should keep really just with the theme of the podcast of no one on the show knowing anything about PvP, but pretending like we know some stuff when we talk about it.
Yeah,
I know that
it's important to just never give any strong opinions, because I have no justification for my opinions that I would have about PvP.
Yeah, I was completely wrong when I was talking about Bounty Hunter, by the way. I was listening back to me talking about it whenever I last talked about it. And I was like, oh yeah, no, like people will definitely skull up and they'll honor fight and it'll be great. No, everyone's unskulling and just double Void Waker, teleporting away, then Void Wakering again. And
that's one thing I can complain about with a fair bit of knowledge about is Void Waker. Sometimes I feel like that weapon was a mistake, man.
Yeah.
I've seen some sentiment from the community that it should be reverted to how it was on RS2, RS3's launch, where it was 55% spec or 60%.
It was originally pulled, I think, for 60% spec.
Yeah,
and I voted for 60%.
If we wanted 50 or 60.
Here we are.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's really strong.
It makes it kind of no, it's not unfair, right? But like if the other person doesn't have one, your KO potential is hard. If you're fighting if you don't have the Void Waker and you're fighting somebody that does. I don't know if it was just a fight that you shouldn't take because it's not even.
Yeah, but half the time, how would you know?
You don't know.
Exactly.
Right. Because you don't have that.
That's the thing with RuneScape PvP is you never know what someone else has. And I think that's part of what makes RuneScape PvP kind of fun sometimes, is sometimes someone will pull out something weird and you'll be like, oh, they have one of those? That's crazy. Like they'll have super budget gear and then they'll just have some crazy item. But Void Waker, I feel, kind of takes all that away because Void Waker is just kind of the best thing to pull out of your back pocket.
Yeah, I know for the meta for PvP was to just pray melee if you're a low, because you could get AGS spec or Gmold or whatever, big melee spec weapon they had. But now you also have to worry that they might have a Void Waker and you had to pray mage against that, but...
And one of the things I like about Bounty Hunter is it kind of resolves that issue to some degree because you don't have to worry about what protection prayer you're praying because you can't pray any of them.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So.
But the downside is, there's the upgraded dark bow or the
you can also
Void
just
Waker or
put out some pretty insane
Abbey
damage
dagger
in Bounty Hunter. So I don't know. Once again, I don't know a whole ton. I've been watching a fair bit of videos about it because I do think it's interesting, but I just don't feel my opinion holds a ton of water.
Yeah,
same.
Before we get into content stuff, though, I did have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you about. Mostly just what it's been like post Max, and now that you're playing on a GIM, how you feel about that game mode.
Post Max has been interesting.
Sucks.
It can suck majorly if you're the only one doing it.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Feel so sad.
That'd be super weird if you had a group Iron Man that nobody really played on.
Yeah, I feel so bad for you.
It's fine. I just get to play as a regular Iron Man, except my helmet is blue. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
I genuinely don't really care that much. Yeah. I've been enjoying being an Iron Man, essentially, and it doesn't really bother me that I'm not on Iron Man high scores. I don't really care. I just like making fun of Sparre about it.
I think I'm in the same shoes as Oxy, or I don't think Oxy seems to enjoy Group Iron Man that much, at least based on the way he was talking about it on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized I didn't really enjoy it.
I'm gonna be honest with you though. I'm gonna give you some flame for that because your dumbass decided, hey, I want to go just do Tempros, and Tempros is the most boring piece of shit content ever, and I hate Tempros. I think it's terrible. It's not the worst thing ever, okay? But if you rush and go to Tempros or Wintertot or something, it's just unfun to just sit there for so long and just do that. You are going to burn out of an account by doing that. I'm gonna throw that flame out there right now.
I mean,
I don't blame you, but I'm just saying,
I didn't
man.
burn out of the game. I just stopped playing on the game.
You burn out of that account. Let's be honest. You burn out of that account.
Yeah.
You didn't want to play that account anymore because you chose a terrible piece of content. And I feel like that's why a lot of people end up not liking, whatever Snowflake account they're playing or whatever, Iron Man mode that they've decided to play, or even just the game in general, right? Even just RuneScape as a whole, is a lot of people will get stuck into doing something that's efficient, that is not particularly fun for them, and then they'll just not want to play anymore because the game's supposed to be fun, right? So if you're doing something that isn't fun, well, you're not going to want to play. As simple as that. And I don't blame anyone for doing that. I mean, some people have fun
being efficient,
but exactly.
If that's not what you're into, then find something that you do enjoy.
Yeah. That was kind of the sentiment of last episode when we were talking with Life. So
yeah.
But yeah, sorry to just interject and completely cut you off there. I needed to serve out that flame, Yeah,
you had to get that off your chest. I completely understand. Post-max for me has been an interesting thing. I maxed in November of last year. And it's kind of weird saying it out loud because it's like I still feel like I maxed recently, but at this point it's been 8 months. Which feels like, oh man, November was 8 months ago. Is that real? Because we're in June now. Crazy. But I maxed in November and I went pretty hard until probably February or March. And basically it was I did a bunch of mining, did a bunch of wood cutting, I did a bunch of cooking. I'm 37 million cooking XP. I got to 15 million mining, 15 million wood cutting, and then I kind of just stopped with the motivation just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And the goals
don't go up anymore.
The number don't go up. And some people can be highly motivated by PVM. They can be motivated by collection log or pets or combat achievements. But I don't really care. I don't need money for that account. I don't think. I mean, I have a 1.2 bill bank. I have all the gear that I have is pretty adequate for what I if I wanted to load up that account right now and go to a raid, I could do any raid in the game potentially.
Yeah, you'd have decent gear for all of it.
So it was it got to the point where logging in just kind of felt empty. And so TMD had been playing the group Iron Man. So in my group, we have a guy named Too Much Dad. We have Oxy. We have one of our friends, his name's Scape Caution, and then me. And then Scape's cousin, who doesn't really play. She hasn't played in a year and a half. She had a baby and just kind of found other life priorities that were more important, which is totally fine. She could come back. She could not. That's kind of where it's at. So we have 5 people. We're a group of 5. And TMD had been playing his group Iron Man kind of off and on for a while. And he's like, hey guys, I have 800 Onyx bolt tips. He's like, here's what we need. We need runite bolts and we need to enchant them. And then we have millions of GP as whoever can pitch in. Scape wasn't playing at that time. So then TMD, technically Oxy and myself then went to work. And I did a bunch of duo, solo, Dolo Soul Wars. And I got 800 rune bolts. And then Oxy pretty much got the smithing or the fletching level, I should say. He got the fletching level to make the Onyx bolts. And then we gave them back to TMD and he enchanted them. And so we each got 150, I think, or 200. Maybe he had 600.
It's a good amount of
it's
a good amount of money.
It equated to 3 or 4 mil, I want to say, each. And so that that really set me up to just have a little bit more fun on the account. And then I started looking at my skills and I devised the goal of, well, if I just get all of the skill requirements out of the way to get the quest cape, that would give me something to work towards. So then I was like, well, what has basically the highest requirements? Song of the Elves. And this is on my group Ironman. So I was still kind of playing both accounts. I would log in and cook while I was recording my podcast. And I wouldn't play in the group Ironman. But then it got to the point where I was like, these are the grinds that I'm doing on my group Ironman. I could do them while I'm recording. So then it just got to the point where now when I want to AFK, when I'm on my iPad, when I'm at work, when I'm watching TV with the wife, I'm on my group Ironman account doing stuff. And the main account is just sitting there. And it's been like that for 2 months, 3 months now. I think the last time I really played on my main account was for bingo. And even then I was like, I would kind of wish I was on my group Ironman because I have goals that I want to do. I have stuff that I want to get done. But yeah, I'm 1580 total, closing in. I have maybe like 3 or 4 more skills that I need to train to 70 to get the Song of the Elves requirements done. And
yeah, you're pretty close to that.
I'll have a quest cape probably in the next month or 2.
Man. That is so eerily similar to the way I trained
really?
my group Ironman. My goal when I created my group Ironman was, regardless of the progress of my group mates, my plan was Song of the Elves rush. Finish Song of the Elves as fast as possible because I'm addicted to the gauntlet. And I wanted to try and do it with like some crazy low stats and just like kind of just have some fun doing some weird stuff. So my first thing I did on the account was just, grind out the requirements for Song of the Elves. So that's funny to hear, honestly.
Nice. I don't think I could have done it without my group mates because like we've really supported each other. So that's good on you for
that was another thing I was going to say is I was like, man, that's how people actually play group Iron the way it's intended to. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's saying it's not a solo game mode.
The experience for me has been very different, right? Because I have one completely dead group mate, and then I have one group mate that plays from time to time. He likes RuneScape. He plays it a fair amount, but he also has a job and plays other games, so he doesn't play. He doesn't no life the game like I do. I go hard on this game. But basically my experience has been, I play as an Iron Man, and then I give my group mate hand-me-downs when I don't need them anymore. And he gets to leech off of all of the hand-me-downs I give him, my maxed POH, my, all this.
Damn.
As I have described in the past, he gets to play Iron Man with a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
And, he's living the life, man. I'm sure he's having an awesome time.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's like, I don't, like, how do you get somebody out of that cycle? How do you convince him that not being handed things and not being carried is better?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really care though, because I'm fine with just being Iron Man. Like I said earlier, I'm completely okay with playing Iron Man. I've learned to enjoy it. And we were talking just before the podcast. Him and I might. He has pretty scuffed gear, and my gear isn't the best either. But I might go teach him TOAs and entry mode.
Nice.
He's got it's a good enough account. He's not super casual. He's just not hardcore by any means. So
yeah, we had talked about teaching him TOA while we're on the Canada trip.
Yeah, it's probably gonna. I think we might. He said he wants to do that this week sometime, so I might be doing that with him.
That'd be fun. I'll let me know when you guys are doing that. I'll definitely watch. I don't want to interrupt the process, but
I'm leaving Feeling Special on.
Absolutely.
He's
Feeling
got to learn
Special,
that.
Mind the Gap. Gotta be on.
I'm gonna leave Mind the Gap off for the first couple, and just see how he does.
Secretly turn it on.
I'm going to tell him that that's how Mind the Gap works, and that he should try and get used to not being in the center area when Baba phases. But that's one that you can kind of just play by ear, and you don't need to have on to learn. But I think Feeling Special, without it on, you get too used to the actually I can go read Moby Dick while this phase occurs. Every time I do
so
TOA
slow.
without Feeling Special on, I am just genuinely mind boggled by how slow it is. It is crazy. It's so much slower than the actual
it's
we do We do a lot of learners in the TNL Discord, and I feel kind of bad about it sometimes, but I will always have feeling special on for the learners. Because I'm like...
And Overclock 2 as well.
Yeah, Overclock 2 as well. Because while it feels bad if you die to it right away...
Better learn it
You're
now.
going to have to learn how to use those, because those are like... If you go up to a 150, you're turning those on because they're the best invocations to have on, basically. Overclock 2 auto dodges stuff for you, and yeah.
I'm gonna hold my tongue because like I've never done feeling special.
Hey, it's that's the great part about RuneScape, right? Is people can play the game differently.
Yeah. I haven't done much.
They can have different opinions.
I'm definitely
even if the opinions are wrong.
I have been called out quite a few times in the past for being kind of elitist, and I've realized, I am kind of elitist. That's totally true. So, but as much as I'll be like, you should leave this thing on or you should do that, at the end of the day, right? If you're having fun doing whatever else, and as long as you're not holding me back, whatever, man, just go do it. Have a good time.
Life. I think that's.
But if you're in my raid,
oh, you're the party leader. It's going down.
We've had quite a few learners recently who have been doing absolute work. We had Serenade, who's been doing 300s with us and is getting pretty good at it. I think he just finished off Dragon Slayer 2, or is almost done with it.
And he's doing 300s?
Yep. And he's doing 300s.
That's awesome.
Corkster, his first raids were 300s.
What?
Like, he did, like, a couple of normal raids, and then he wanted to join us. It was, like, me and, like, I think Cloudwind and some other people. And he just started hopping into 300s with us.
That's fantastic.
And he was there for the Shadow Split, and he got a Masori top solo as well. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, that's one thing I do almost miss about being a main, is that I can just like buy gear and just hop in, right? Because if I want to actually do TOA on this account, well, I need to do lower inbo TOA because I need a Fang if I want to do higher inbo TOA. And I need a yellow gem if I want to do higher inbo TOA. I do find the gear progression quite enjoyable. That's one of the things I've liked the most. But with TOA specifically, the like hard Fang requirement is really fucking annoying.
Yeah,
because it's unnerfed, so it's like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's like
to take it in,
not that hard to get either. So if you're doing TOAs without it, you're just kind of gimping yourself.
You're actually gimping yourself.
You're just shooting yourself.
I'm on like the higher end of that spectrum now, where I'm doing raids with like elite gamers who all have shadows, and I'm getting to the final room and I'm checking the scoreboard and I'm like 4,000 damage below everyone.
Well, yeah, just have
because I don't have a shadow. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, I'm like doing good. My ticks are up. I'm, hitting the boss decently. But, when we get to the final rooms and I don't have the shadow, I just,
my best advice, and this is the only way that I think you can avoid that, is don't look at the scoreboard.
So true.
It doesn't really bother me because I still see like my tick uptime and that I'm doing well in most raids.
Yeah.
And like the other metrics that show like, I didn't get hit and I didn't mess up these puzzles or these mechanics. So, the TOA mistakes plugin is great for telling me if I'm being an idiot, but
yeah, because you're playing your own game.
The
DPS
does kind of suck. Yeah.
What mage weapon do you have?
I upgraded to a Sang recently.
And that's still like you're not getting the damage?
I mean, Shadow's
that
crazy. It's because it's also buffed
4
in
times.
TOA.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a 4 times accuracy and damage bonus.
As opposed to the normal 3x.
Wow.
In TOA. Yeah.
Not realize that.
Yeah. So it's like having Tebow in Chambers, It's just it goes hard.
Is Tebow buffed in Chambers?
Tebow has uncapped damage in Chambers.
Is
in the normal game it has a cap, but in
Scythe is not buffed.
Yeah, I've always found
Taub?
that so weird. Scythe, it's really good at
Can
Taub,
we be consistent, Jagex, please?
but it has no like secret little buff.
So dumb.
I mean, the thing with Taub though is everything is like Giga/weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just by default, really.
So it is it's by default buffed.
Yeah.
And it's also Scythe.
But it doesn't function differently like the other two
Oh, gotcha.
power weapons.
Wait, so what's
function.
the damage cap? Like, is it just whatever your max hit would be with a T-bow in chambers?
Yeah, I'd have to double check exactly what the numbers are. I've never actually looked into it. I've just been told by people, yeah, normally it's capped, but in chambers it's uncapped. And I'm like, cool, because then they hit like numbers over 100 in big scales. And I'm like, yep, that checks out.
Yeah, so the accuracy multiplier is capped at 140%, and the damage multiplier is capped at 250%.
Whoa.
But it's uncapped in chambers.
I kind of hate that they cap it, because it's like, why even have an absolute beast of a weapon if you're just going to make it only hit 50s at Zulrah?
To be fair, T-bow's still like crazy.
It's still crazy, right? Like, it's still over a bill, but imagine if it was uncapped.
I mean, you don't have to imagine. Just go do some chambers, man.
Well, I mean, like, it's Zulrah. Imagine if you could hit hundreds at Zulrah. You could, like, 3-shot or 4-shot.
Yeah.
You could 3-shot it, potentially.
I mean, that thing, though, is just Zulrah itself is damage capped, right? That's not the T-bow being damage capped.
Oh.
I think so.
I don't actually know that information off the top of my head.
I guess it is, because the Bofa, you can only hit 50s, too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe
I don't have a
the
setup
T-bow,
that lets me hit 50s, so I can't confirm or deny.
I've done like 800 Zulrah, and a majority of those are T-bow only, because I didn't really learn Zulrah until I had a T-bow. And I don't have a T-bow. It's always been, hey, can I borrow a T-bow?
Yeah.
It's been a loan. I actually had a T-bow for my own. I sold all my gear, and I had a T-bow for about 10 minutes, and then I sold it. I'm like, this isn't me. What am I going to do?
I don't think I could ever, even on my main, I don't know if I could ever do like a T-bow rebuild or anything like that.
I have a pretty big cash stack right now, or I did until I bought a bunch of smithing supplies. But I didn't know what to do with it, so I bought myself a Garazi rapier. And I'm just like, cool, I'm going to do some Slayer with this. And I did like 2 tasks, and I'm like, I have a Fang. What am I doing
with
with
this?
doing?
Rapier's not... Rapier's in a pretty bad spot right now. I don't know why you would do that.
That's like buying a blade of Saldar. What are you doing?
Yeah. Blade's still good, but the problem is Bofa exists. And so having a blade...
It's too expensive.
Like, it's not really worth it. The reason a blade is expensive is because Bofa is expensive. Right. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
So
I had a blade of Saldar corrupted for a long time before the Bofa came out. And
to be honest, I want one.
I loved it. It was like a little lightsaber.
Yeah.
And,
it looks sick.
Yeah. I miss having it. I think I want to say I still have the placeholder in my bank.
I still have the enhanced
Saldar.
crystal weapon seed in my
oh, cool.
My bank as a placeholder, because someday I'm gonna go. Someday being once I get rigor, I'm gonna go back to Gauntlet.
Or when your group mate goes to the Gauntlet.
that's the great part though, right? Is I only give him hand-me-downs when I don't need it. And I want a Blade of Saldor, so he's not getting a Bofa. I'm sorry.
Oh, right. It's like, this is mine.
Like, obviously...
Do you have a tent whip?
No, I don't. I have Pet, 2 jars, and Trident, but I don't have Tentacle from Kraken.
Oh my gosh. 2 jars?
You just reminded me.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty awesome.
That's terrible. I didn't know you got a second jar.
I got back-to-back jar into Pet.
That's... Ugh.
Wow. I don't know if
you're my second jar into Pet.
I think your
I have a jar from Zora, and I got that jar before I had anything other than a Magic Fang, and I was going like 500 dry of seeing any unique.
Wow. What was your awesome. NKC, by the way, before you got your...
1270.
Yep.
At Zora?
Yep. That was... I got Blowpipe at 1269. So I have...
Is this on your groupie?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So... I'm done with Zora on Iron. I don't have to go back ever because I have like 200,000 scales. So I will not run out of those for a very long time.
What if you want the pet though?
Then I will come back when I have T-bow and Shadow.
Yeah, there you go.
Fair.
Do you have a you have a Bofa though, right?
Yeah, I was doing Bofa only.
Bofa only is pretty chill. That's
it was fine. Like I have no real complaints other than going like 500 kills without seeing a drop kind of sucked, and it was really demoralizing. But like, what can you do? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated Zora, and then I went back and did it Bofa only, and I was like, okay, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's pretty chill.
I still don't really like the boss, but Bofa only I can deal with.
It's the switches that get to me. If I can just do consistent damage. Do you?
Yeah, I liked when Zora went under. I'd be like, all right, time to do my like 8-way switch and just destroy him.
Yeah, I'm into that. Most of my 800 or 900 kills is either with a Bofa or a T-bow. I don't know that I've actually done an entire kill with switches on my main account. I tried on that group Iron Man, but that failed.
Yeah, so I like doing big switches, right? But only if they're good switches.
Yeah.
Right. I avoided doing Zora with like Ibans and MSB. Ain't no way you're gonna catch me doing that.
Okay,
so you gotta rock up with Flames of Zamorak.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
You only did Zora whenever you had the Bofa?
Well, like I said, right? I Song of the Elves rushed, and then I just started doing... I didn't lock myself to Gauntlet, but I started doing just kind of every once in a while I do Gauntlets because I'm insane and I think that minigame's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really, really lucky with an enhanced Crystal Weapon Seed.
Like, how lucky?
I'd have to go back and check, but it was sub 100 KC.
Oh my god! Corrupted or not?
Corrupted. I have one regular Gauntlet KC on this account. Oh. I just did one, and I was like, all right, going straight to Corrupted. Because I have 600.
No regular augury, mind you.
Yeah, no regular augury.
75 combats.
Yeah, it was
75.
Somewhere in the range of like 75 to 80 combats at the time.
Sparre, we're in the presence of a gamer.
So it's really funny. We're in like another clan called Petscape, and people started noticing Bird when I was like, hey, I have a friend who does gauntlets with like dog shit stats on his main and no rigor and augury, and he has like, I don't remember how many KC you had at the time, but
probably over 100 by then. I'd think. Yeah,
I think it was like 100 something. And the clan leader Kiwi was just absolutely infatuated by
because the funniest thing back then, right, was I didn't even have a fire cape. I had never done Jad.
What?
Yeah,
that was the funniest part
about that.
Corrupted Gauntlet was like my introduction to PVM. I had been like a skiller up until then. And then I did Song of the Elves, and back when I played RS2/RS3, whatever time period it was, I don't really remember, I was really into dungeoneering. And so I saw Gauntlet, and I was like, this is cool. I like this. And so I just started doing it because I was like, I like the concept of, slightly randomly generated dungeon thing with boss. Mm-hmm. So I was just doing it for fun. And then I started doing the corrupted version, and I just thought it was fun. I was like, yeah, cool, I can do PVM now. And then I joined Petscape, and then the story goes on from there. I learned how to actually do PVM.
Yeah, when I was mentioning Bird, Kiwi was just like, we need to get this guy in this voice chat right now.
I want to pick his brain.
It's very similar to the way that I don't really consume a whole ton of old school content. Like back then, I didn't consume really any old school content beside like Framed. I've always been a big fan of Framed because I don't really do PvP, and I think he's funny. And that's like it. And I was not involved in like a clan or anything. The only people I ever talked to about RuneScape were my close friends. So I was just like completely isolated from how the game is, air quotes, supposed to be played.
Yeah.
Up until like then when I joined Petscape, then I started like actually talk to people that played the game that I didn't know. And so it was a whole thing for me. It was very interesting.
I think that probably is what helped you though.
A podcast.
Yeah, now I host a podcast.
Woo.
Yeah.
Expectations have been raised.
Yeah,
I think honestly that might be what helped you though. Just looking at it from an outside perspective, if you don't know what you don't know, then you're going to be slightly less intimidated by the content that everybody else claims to be so difficult.
Yeah. I think it was definitely an advantage of mine back then, which is why my advice to newer players is always take the game at your own pace. Just do things that you think are interesting. If you're not having fun, try something else. There's so much random stuff in this game. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Wild ride. I don't remember how we got on this tangent.
Talking about Group Iron Man and Michael's pushing towards Song of the Elves.
Yeah, one thing that I think would be kind of important for us to talk about is who are you, Michael? Why are you on? What do you do? Because I'll be honest, I don't know a whole ton about you. And there's a chance that there are people in the audience that do not watch your podcast, similarly to me. There's a pretty small chance, but I think it is still there.
I think it would be mostly like my friends that I've not forced to watch the podcast. Don't look in my basement.
I'll be honest, I don't know too much about you yourself. And I imagine there are a small number, but a number of people in the audience that may not know who you are. So if you want, now that we're 50 minutes into the recording, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, if people are still here. So my name's Michael. I did say that at the beginning.
Yeah. There is some amount of context.
Some people might only know me as Bloodhound, but I have not. It's like Obi-Wan. He's like, that's a name I haven't heard in many years. So on all my social media for RuneScape and stuff, I go by Bloodhound. But then once I started the podcast, I was like, I don't really want to be called Bloodhound, because then the nickname to that is like Blood or Hound, and that's to me it's just easier. And if we ever got to the point where we were in talks with like sponsors and big companies, and if it got to that point, I don't want to be like, hey guys, my name's Bloodhound. This is weird. So I made the decision to just go by Michael. So I host a podcast called XP Waste. Started in March of 2021. So we've just hit our 2-year mark. And my co-host Oxy and I, we talk about RuneScape. Talk about like we try to have a theme. So we have episodes that are like geared towards mid-game gear progression. We have like what quests you should focus on, things like that. And to me, that was kind of filling a niche within the podcasting realm. So whenever we started, my pitch to Oxy was, we can talk about the news, but I would like to have like topics that we can discuss and that would help people, rather than just being like, what did we do this week and here's the news. Because if you've listened to XP Waste, you'll know that one of our things is like, hey, don't come to us for the news because we probably haven't read it. There's plenty of newscasts out there, and I think you guys do a really great job of covering it. I mean, I've listened to Guthix
I've always been someone that like whenever there's a news post for a game I'm really into, which is been RuneScape for the last few years, I'm like poring over the update, looking at all the numbers if they have like stat changes for, if it's a game like that, and I'm like obsessing, like trying to figure out the meta before the update even comes out.
Yeah.
So
it kind of works. Like this show is it's like a personification of your guys' interests, and it sounds like you guys do like to know what's going on. So
I used to, but I still do play a fair bit of Destiny 2, and nice. I wouldn't consider myself enfranchised in that game as much anymore. But when I was very into the game, it was the same thing for me. I'd read the news posts every single week, and I'd be like, all right, what's going on? What's changing? Mm-hmm. And of course, now that I'm back into RuneScape a lot more, I do the same thing for this game. So it's genuinely what we enjoy. And so, that's fair, But I think Sparre and I are really into what's going on with the game currently. We like talking about the numbers and stuff of what's upcoming. So it just kind of it works out for us,
Yeah. There's been times on my show where we have set ourselves up to talk about the news, and I still don't even read it. So,
yeah.
This is an educated guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the blogs are really dense with information that kind of makes your eyes glaze over. Like the Forestry open beta stuff. Like I had to read over it like 4 or 5 times to even understand what the fuck they were talking about. And I Look, don't tell me you looked at the leaves mechanic and walked away understanding what of that meant.
I went to college for game development and game design. I have read far too many game design docs. This shit just makes sense.
I went to college to be an English teacher, and I dropped out after a year. So
I have a degree. All right.
I didn't go to college. I can't read.
You didn't miss out. Let me tell you that.
I got like almost an associate's, and then I was like, I don't want to do math. So
yeah, see, I decided I wanted to do math, so that's why I got a degree.
Oh, gotcha. But so started a podcast. Before that, I was basically just streaming on Twitch. I wanted a creative outlet, and I wanted to stream, and I was like, okay, so I'll stream on Twitch, and I like editing things together. I like making videos. So part of the reason I was streaming was to have content for a YouTube series, which I did Iron Man from scratch. So never played Iron Man before, and I made a new Iron Man account, and I have like 10 episodes on YouTube somewhere. It's not, I mean, I think it's really good, but I don't know that I wasn't invested in the content. Fair. And so if you're not invested in it, you could tell.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it though. Like I loved the editing and I liked the storytelling but it was taking up way too much of my time. Like I would say for a 15-minute video, I was putting in like 15 to 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's like actually playing and then all of the editing and all the stuff that goes with it. And so it felt like a part-time job for literally no return because I had like 70 subscribers.
Yeah. There was probably an alternate reality where I made some kind of video series on my journey in Group Iron Man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that'd be cool though.
I thought about it, but at this point I don't know that I'd do it because I'm just so far into all of it that I don't know.
Yeah.
You miss all of the context of me building up this account, and I don't know if anybody would really care about, I'm basically just another guy. There's no like special restriction or anything. So I don't really know if anybody would really care, honestly. Yeah. And it sounds like a bit of a chore because the reason I didn't end up doing it is kind of like what you said, like, and once you get in the later game of Iron, it's like I'd be doing so much stuff that would probably I'd grind out Zulrah for like 2 weeks, and that would be like 5 minutes of content maybe.
Yep.
It's like it just would be unsustainable, and I'd rather just play the game and not worry about it.
Right. And like YouTube wasn't my full-time thing.
Yeah.
And so I drew a lot of inspiration from a YouTuber named Mudkip.
Yes.
I love Mudkip.
I love Mudkip.
I started watching his UIM series recently from the beginning. Yeah, so
he's amazing.
He's a cool guy.
His homeworld's the same as ours.
That's cool. Have you seen him around?
Seen him run? Yeah, cool. Mostly at like the Zolandra doing AFK fishing there, but yeah. He plays his game mostly, so I don't see him too often anymore.
Right. Yeah, so I was very inspired by Mudkip. Editing style, cadence, gameplay, all of that kind of stuff. And so that seemed like the most relevant thing to do. Looking back, I probably could have made a cool series like documenting my main account and like Road to Max type thing. But those two things, Road to Max and Iron Man from scratch, are a dime a dozen on YouTube.
Yeah, that was what I was worried about too. And I was thinking about it, it's like, this sounds like it's going to become a chore. There's so many people that just, show their account progress, and there's nothing special, like nothing particularly unique about their account. So nobody really cares. And like, if you're just doing it for yourself to keep track of your account and you're having fun doing it, like obviously there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like I kind of have the same perspective as you there, where it's like, is anyone going to care? And does that make it so that I don't care? Like, I don't know, man.
It's a hard balance. It really is. Because the thing that makes you successful or could make you successful on YouTube for RuneScape and Old School RuneScape is to have like a niche that you're trying to fill or telling a story. Mm-hmm. And so you guys had Life on last week, and the one thing that stuck out to me was like he wanted to tell the story of this character that he was playing. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I was not doing that. I was just making an Iron Man video. I was making a progression video. So that turned into, okay, if I don't stream, like if I'm not playing this account, then why am I streaming? And so that turned into, well, what is another creative outlet? I could do a podcast. And the thing that kind of like made me want to do it is I was doing a training for my job, and we were launching like this new client. We were launching a new partner, and we were doing training for that partner. It was like, so going back to what I was saying about my job. So I worked for a company that delivered phones. Mainly our biggest partner was AT&T. And at that time, we were doing training to deliver Apple products. And so straight from Apple. And they wanted us to do like a creative project that that like summarized what we were learning in that section. And so I just I made like literally, it was like a 45-second podcast with intro music. I had like a mini sponsorship like segment, but it was basically just like a podcast talking about everything I had just learned. And I sat down and did it. It took like maybe 45 minutes. And that kind of sparked my interest of, I feel like I could do this. And I had a lot of fun doing it. I was very proud of the end result. And I listened to it. I showed my wife. I was very proud of it. And I'm like, that's a cool outlet that I would feel rewarding. Like it would be rewarding for me at the end of the day. It would feel as rewarding as what I was trying to get through YouTube and Twitch, where it was a creative outlet. And so that's what it's been the last 2 years, doing a podcast. I've gotten to play the game that I love still and talk about it and build a community and interact with people. Because at the end of the day, it's like, who am I doing this for? Doing it for people to enjoy, for people to consume. It's not like, it is for me. It is for me at the end of the day too, but it's a way for me to express myself creatively. And so that's what's kept me going the last years. If I find something different, then I'll pursue that. But for now, for the foreseeable future, it's doing XP Ways.
Sick.
But yeah,
that's actually super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily feel like the same sort of like creative drive that you do for Guthix Rest. I feel like, for me at least, it's more just like I have fun talking about the game with Bird. This
has become our only time per week that him and I speak to each other about the game, because it's like, all right, we got all these things, because I mean, you said you listen to the podcast. It ends up just being us like talking. We're just chatting the whole time, because we do that all the time. And like, it ended up that we'd join like a Discord channel, or we'd already be in a Discord channel, and we'd be like talking about the game super in depth, and other people would end up joining the channel, and then they wouldn't want to hear us, or they'd be doing a different game, and then like we'd get annoyed. And so now we've just confined
derail our conversation.
We've confined it to here, because it's like it's our safe space to talk about RuneScape where no one can bother us.
Yeah. So you're basically like, we're doing this anyway. We might as well put our, put up the recording.
Might as well see if anybody else cares,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
polish it
so
up
like, I just came to Bird one day and I was like, hey, do a podcast with me.
He approached me and said something to the effect of, I'm, a middle-aged or a young middle-aged white man with recording software, and I'm at a very high danger of starting a podcast. Would you like to be my co-host? And I was like, sure.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, I didn't even think about that. There's too many white guys with podcasts.
Yeah,
what am I doing?
That was my immediate response as well. But it's like, man, what can you do? Sure. I just want to talk about RuneScape.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I love the game. I try to dedicate as much time as I can, but I also know that having a wife, having a child, having a job, I
got
can't.
A lot going on, man.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is like, I don't think. Well, two things. If I didn't have the community we have, if I wasn't in TNL, and I didn't have the XP Ways community, and I didn't have the podcast, I don't know that I would be playing RuneScape as frequently as I do.
Yeah, one thing I gotta ask, like, Go ahead, Sparre. You think you're about to say something?
I was just gonna say, like, a big thing about RuneScape for me is like the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people joke that RuneScape is an MMO that you play by yourself, but like,
you don't have to.
I don't know. You don't have to.
A lot of people choose to. It is
still an MMO,
but you don't have to. And that was why I liked Group Iron Man, just conceptually, is it kind of restores that little bit of like, oh yeah, because I remember when I used to play back in the day, I didn't really use the GE too much. I just had a group of friends, and we'd like have things, and I'd be like, oh, I'll trade you this for that, and we'd just
yeah,
that was our.
You're playing Group Iron Man.
We essentially were
ahead of your time.
Yeah, Group Iron Man was just kind of like a logical step for me as far as playing the game goes, because it was kind of returning to my roots in a way. So,
I mean, people don't know this maybe about me, or maybe they do. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast. I'm an identical twin.
You've talked about it.
Okay.
In the Who episode.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Question mark?
We used to talk, or not. We used to play RuneScape as a kid, and we basically only traded with each other because, like, we were, broke RuneScape players. We couldn't afford good gear or items off the GE, so.
So you were also playing Group Iron Man.
Back then.
Yeah.
I've been playing since like 2005, and I had one friend that played, and my brother played a little bit, but I didn't do much. Like, I think I logged in, had like a girlfriend that was probably not a girl, and I trained cooking. Like, cooking was my 99 that I got in RS2 before like Evolution of Combat.
Someone else that actually got a 99 back then.
Yeah, it was so crazy because I remember cooking a bunch of sharks, and my family and I moved to Texas when I was almost 15. That was in 2007, and I'm pretty sure I got 99 cooking in Texas because that was like 2006, 2007, 2008 were the big like formative years that I remember playing a lot. But I definitely started an account in 2005 and I got 99 cooking and then basically didn't do much else. Like my account right now is, I think in RS3 my account is like maybe 1,400 total, which is not a lot because that's including summoning and hunter.
Solid like early mid game.
Yeah. I don't remember doing much of anything, to be honest. I didn't do any bossing as a kid. I don't think I ever touched barrows. Nothing.
I definitely didn't. I very rarely even had membership as a kid. So all I did was fish. And
you bet your ass I begged those $5 a month to get
a membership.
Oh
my gosh, $5. That's such a steal.
It was so good, dude. I've
all
said
the
it so many
memberships back
times.
then were $5.
It'll never happen. But if they offered that you could just get Old School membership for $5, I would pay that forever.
Yeah,
I would never stop paying for that because, like, even if I stopped playing the game for a while, I know I'm eventually
how would they do
come
that?
back. I'm stuck.
I don't think they
game.
can.
There's no two ways about it. I will eventually return. And $5 is a steal, man. It's such a good deal. Whereas now that it's like
steal.
11, 12, whatever the heck it is now, I only pay for it when I'm actually playing the game.
Some older price. I don't know what the current price is.
Well, see, that's the thing. I never stay subbed. I immediately cancel my sub whenever I pay money. Because I know that I will most likely stop playing the game for a few months, and then I'll pay for it again when I want to play again.
Mm-hmm.
I would have done the same thing. Oh no!
It was the last thing I said was how would they do that? And then my character stopped.
We didn't even hear that.
Okay,
that's and that is also true. Is like $5 a month is also just it's not enough to develop a video game of this scale anymore. If every single person was paying $5 a month, I don't think
it's not enough in this economy. No,
in this economy.
I can remember in like 2005, 2006, I didn't have a bank account. So we asked my brother and I asked my mom and dad to pay for membership. and we would give them money. And so they didn't trust. This was like, again, early 2000s. So they didn't trust like online transactions.
Yup. I remember this exactly.
We literally mailed a check to the UK.
No shot.
We didn't go that far, but damn.
They mailed a $5 check to Jagex, and it was probably a solid week or two where we had to wait for just like logging in every day to check and see if our membership had kicked in, and it was for a month. And so,
dude, this is
I don't remember how long they did that, but
it's
at some point they're like, okay, we can put our card on there because
this is annoying.
Been playing it for a couple months now, but I distinctly remember filling out the little envelope with the check inside.
Dude, I remember
it to Jagex.
There was some video I watched. This is bringing up a vivid memory of this video of like, it was like, begging your parents for money from Jagex, and I remember, or money to pay for RuneScape. And I remember that they would get like a $5 bill and they'd put it in an envelope at the end of the video. And I was like, oh, that's funny. But I assumed that it was a joke that they were putting it in the envelope.
No,
I didn't know you could actually send in money that way. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I wonder if they still would honor that if you mailed them a check.
I doubt it. Maybe. I wouldn't do it, but maybe.
I'm sure if you read through the terms and conditions or like some legal document, I'm sure it probably states at some point that they removed that policy or something.
Right, because who's going to cover the tax? Like it's what is it? $11 plus tax, and if you send in $11 exactly, how are they gonna do that?
Well, clearly the tax was just the shipping fees. It's whatever stamp at that point.
But yeah, Bird, you said you had a question earlier. Do you remember?
Yeah. I was going.
You remember?
Yeah, I'm just built different, I was going to ask TNL. How did all that start? Where's the story behind that? Because I don't actually know that. You said
okay.
I don't know if this was a community that you had formed previous to the podcast. I don't know how that works, and I imagine there's probably other people listening that don't know. So please explain.
TNL. It's interesting because a lot of people are confused if you've listened to XP Waste, but then you're invited to join our Discord. They don't match up name wise, so it's TNL, which stands for Team No Life. And then obviously XP Waste Podcast. So TNL started as just like a friends Discord. Our founder, his name is Escape Caution. He's one of my group mates. He started the Discord. It was his Discord actually. And the way long story short, he did a 24-hour stream to raise money for a charity organization. I don't remember the name of it. But he basically reorganized that event for him in his Discord, and he actually invited Eevescape and Mudkip to come and do a little segment for him during his 24-hour stream. And so they were in that Discord, and so a bunch of people joined it to kind of sit in and listen on the Eevescape and Mudkip what they were doing on the stream. And so a bunch of us joined during that 24-hour stream that was in, I think it was early August of 2020. And then from there, it grew to, friends of friends are joining. It was basically a hangout Discord while you were just, chilling. And we maybe had maybe 50 people. And so in late 2020, we started doing events in the clan. At that point, it wasn't really a full-fledged clan, but the Discord and the clan in game started to grow, and shortly, a couple months later, so early 2020, March of 2021, I should say, sorry, March 2021, Oxy and I started a podcast, and then TNL basically just kept growing from there, and it came to the point where Oxy and I sat down with Escape Caution and we're like, so the podcast is growing. We could make a new Discord, because at that point we were trying to figure out Patreon benefits. Like we could have a new Discord, or we could just bring people to TNL and grow here and incorporate all the new people and like have it be more established so we're not starting from scratch. We went back and forth a lot. We went back and forth on like pros and cons of, well, if this grows too large, are people going to want to, like the old timers, are they going to want to stay? Are they going to feel ostracized? Are they going to, are the new people going to fit in with the old people? Like we went back and forth a lot, and we just kind of landed on, well, neither Oxy or I or Scape at that point really wanted to like have two main Discords that we would hang out in. And so we just decided to merge with TNL. Kind of, well, at that point, it was like, welcome to TNL, home of the XP podcast. Now it's more like, welcome to TNL. Well, it's kind of like, welcome to XP home of the TNL Discord. The two have grown together.
Yeah.
But it's mainly due to the podcast.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, based on just being in there, it feels like almost everyone I interact with in there is there due to the podcast.
Yeah. You get a few people that join and they're not, which how did you find us? If you didn't hear from, if you didn't come from the podcast.
I didn't come from the podcast. Sparre
true.
Just invited
That's true.
Me.
Well, yeah, I guess it's friends of friends at that point.
Most likely.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a thing where you can react to like getting the XP Waster role versus just getting the Team No Life role. And so far, 1,871 people have reacted to join the Discord and 1,476. So around a difference of 1,400 or 400 people have joined, but didn't say anything about, hey, I'm here because of XP Waste.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people. Holy cow.
That reminded me of, the other day we were talking about that Discord that I helped moderate. And
I was going to say this story is actually quite similar to the story of Petscape as well.
Oh no, I was going to talk about Egg Server.
I know, but I don't moderate Petscape. That was just like a sub thing that I was just saying.
Oh, gotcha.
As an aside, but continue your thing.
Yeah, so Egg Server started as a Discord fan community for Northern Lion, given with the blessing of Northern Lion and his subreddit, and so. The Discord server grew very large, but it's existed for so long that I'd wager most of the active users in there aren't really like regular Northern Lion watchers at this point. I mean, I know a good number of the mods, myself including, don't really watch Northern Lion on a regular basis anymore. But the server has 5,000 members in it.
Whoa.
Like it's a big server, yeah. But yeah, you'll get people joining all the time that, they're just there because they're a friend of a friend or, a friend of a friend of a friend. And it's just like,
word of mouth spread. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just hang out.
I think a lot of people join TNL and stick around, not just because they get to potentially, hang out with Oxy and I, but like we try and do a lot of events. You guys were in our bingo. It's a big community thing where people hang out and do content together. We have a lot of voice channels that are very active. And so it's kind of transcended, I think, what we originally thought it could be with the podcast, where we thought, okay, people are just going to join from the podcast. They're going to be able to get updates about like, hey, a new episode has just dropped. But never did I think that like, if I didn't log into the Discord for I don't know, maybe for like a week, it would still function just fine without me there. Which that is the true test of like a creation, is it can function without its creator to like watch over it. I think maybe a weird metaphor, but
I get what you're trying to say. Yeah, I mean, when I joined the Discord, I haven't been in there very long. I joined in October, and I very quickly, was welcomed in and started doing content with people, and it's a good time. I'm usually in there raiding now, and
all the people you mentioned are pretty like they're regulars, I would call them. Rating regulars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I check Discord every once in a while. I like to snoop around and see where my friends are, and every time I'm like trying to figure out where Sparre is, I check TNL first.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
Just look in TNL. Like, I like how you can hover over the icon.
Yeah, that's how I always check. Is I'll hover over and I'll see his profile picture. Like, up there he is.
What is your profile, by the way? It's a pixelated. Is that you in the music cape?
Yeah. So, the Petscape server, this other clan we're in, someone paid an artist to make all of the Petscape regulars into one big pixel art thing.
Neat.
Do you have that picture somewhere, Bird?
I think so, yeah. Give me a sec.
I have it saved somewhere, I just don't know where. But yeah, that's my
that's your
character in game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
With yeah, it's I have like another icon that I used for a while. It's still like my Twitch and I think my Twitter even.
Bird. It's like a close up of a bird's face, right?
Yeah. It's one of my birds that has unfortunately now since passed, but
it's the Jesus. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think I still use that profile picture for you when I do the video edits.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'd want you to use.
Oh
yeah, speaking of editing.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
I teased how I'm breaking up with DaVinci.
Yeah, because I had gone through a decent few video editing software pieces.
I just posted the Petscape thing in general. By the way.
Neat! I love that.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Try to find Bird's character.
I'm right next to you.
With the Skitiza home?
I'm the guy with the mind shield.
In the rune crafting
outfit. Okay, cool. Right. Rune crafting, that makes sense.
Armadillo staff and...
Bird God, best God.
Bird God, best God. So you went
through a bunch of... I went through a bunch of different pieces of video editing software. And I ended up landing on DaVinci because it was one that I did not have to pay for and had the most features and functioned. And so that's what I've been using for the, count them, 2 episodes of the podcast that I have finished editing. I am no promises, going to start going back through the backlog this week. We'll see.
So DaVinci. No, go ahead. I'm going to get into a rant, so you should probably say what he's saying.
I'm like peak sunk cost fallacy at this point where I'm like, I really should learn how to edit on something else.
You definitely should.
Every time I go to edit, I'm like, okay, I only have so much time to edit. I don't want to spend my time learning a new workflow, so I'm just going to keep editing on Audacity. And it's not the best.
Yeah. I found Audacity to be very, very not intuitive for me.
Clunky.
It's clunky. So I have been in editing on DaVinci Resolve since I started doing like YouTube stuff because I was pretty hardcore, like an iMovie guy growing up. Like
I had a Mac, fucking Windows Movie Maker back in the
Windows
day.
Movie Maker. Yep.
Same thing for me, man.
I edited so growing up. I was really very active in my youth group, and every week we had pretty cool things where like they would give us the announcements ahead of time, and it was always a competition between the guys and the girls on who could make a better announcement video. And I had like a lot of editing experience just editing those videos on iMovie. And so that was kind of where my passion for wanting to edit stuff came from. I didn't do a lot like out of high school, and then really stopped doing it altogether until I decided I wanted to like make YouTube content. And then that stopped, and then I was like, well, what else can I edit? So I was looking for free or inexpensive software to try, and I was like, I mean, Adobe Premiere sounds cool. I've heard that is that's like an industry standard, but I don't really have
I've heard it's
the money.
I've heard it's an industry standard to the absolute disdain of many people, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. So I picked up DaVinci, and I loved it. I still do love it. I just have a grievance that this week, editing our last episode, so it's a 3-hour episode, 3 hours and 30 minutes, I think. And I got to the last 45 minutes of the actual content. And it's when we come back from break. And I'm sitting there editing, and it's crashing on me.
No.
Luckily, DaVinci like auto saves a lot, so I didn't lose a bunch, but like I'm sitting here pulling my hair out. Yeah,
this
and
is something I didn't know because I am a habitual saver. So I genuinely didn't know that it did auto saves because I just have it saved all the time. I'll do like one little thing, I'll be Control S.
Control S.
Because it also, one thing is very nice, it saves very quickly. I hit Control S and it's just like done.
Yep.
So
I used to be a pixel artist, so I would Control S constantly.
It's force of habit, really, at this point. Yeah. Like my finger spread is pinky on Control, ring finger on S, and pointer finger on B. So like for cutting and stuff. And so I'm getting into editing the last portion of our podcast, and like clockwork, about every 2 to 3 minutes of edited footage, it crashes. It is unresponsive. Unresponsive. And so I started editing the last portion of that podcast at 9:30 a.m. 45 minutes, mind you. 45 minutes of just content. So I started editing at 9:30, and I had to brute force restart it every 2 minutes of footage until 1:30 p.m. 9, 10, 11, 12. For 4 hours. It took me 4 hours to edit 45 minutes. And it's not even that intense editing. Like, I'm literally just cutting out dead spots.
There's got to be something else going on, you know? But diagnosing it isn't an option.
Minute per or edited minute per minute of time spent worse than my first episode that I edited.
Which
was like it was like 6 hours for the first 8 hours for the first episode of 2 hours of content.
Wow.
I don't want to begin talking about how long it takes me to edit the episodes. But for me, the reason it takes me so long is not because the editing takes long, but it's because I put myself to such a high quality of standard where I like go and find all of the things that we talk about and put them on the screen. Most of my time is spent like citing sources, essentially.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I like it. I don't find it annoying. I've just found that I want to play RuneScape instead of do that because I like playing a video game more than doing something that is kind of work, but work that I enjoy. So that's kind of why I just haven't gotten around to it. Last week, I was like, I'm going to edit. And then I remembered that I had a temporary job that I picked up. And I was like, I'm not going to have enough time.
It's been so long. I don't remember what it is now. But on something that we say in the third episode that I make reference to, it's like one of the blog posts or something that's really old. I was like, I should be like a good person and like find this reference. Because I was the one that made it. And I spent like an hour trying to find it and I couldn't find it, so good luck with
that. Admittedly, I pride myself in being very good at internet foo, at finding things.
No, I am too.
So I take that as a challenge and I guarantee you that I'll find it.
Hell yeah. So DaVinci Resolve might be in the bin for me. But here's the thing.
I wonder if that's like some possible hardware issue.
I think it's my computer.
Or,
I think it's my computer because
it's hard to say. You know, I don't know what your situation is, but
I don't know if it's made it into this episode. But I've cut out like twice because I don't know if my internet. No, DaVinci's fine. It's like I don't know if my PC is just
being a little wacky.
Yeah, it's being wacky. I turn it off pretty regularly, so it's not like
it's not.
You just turn it off, turn it back on. I turn it off like every 3 or 4 days, so it shouldn't be. So we have for XP Waste, we have a Patreon, and that brings in a decent amount of money, enough to where Oxy and I can justify spending.
Having actual podcast expenses.
Yes. And I think that the move is a new processor and a potentially new motherboard and a new radiator and a new power supply.
Usually whenever you upgrade a processor, it's best to just upgrade the motherboard too.
Well, I might have to pick your
Depends
brain
on what
a bit,
socket
I have
you
no idea.
choose.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're choosing, if you have an actual socket that has an upgrade path, which I feel like is so rare these days.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I could send you what I have. I don't know.
I don't mean to be
so
your tech
clueless
support
when it
guy.
comes to this stuff too.
No, I have no idea.
The one podcast I actually watch for some point of reference is I watch the WAN show from Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, nice.
I'm very into like the tech scene. So.
Oh, okay.
Well,
if you don't mind, I can send you my specs and I can send you what I currently have, and then I can send you what I'm thinking. You're more qualified than me. Oxy has it good where he just literally went up to some shop and was like, "Here, I'll pay you to do this." But I tried to look in my area, and I don't think there's anything like that.
You said you're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a Micro Center in Texas, right?
There's Micro Center, yeah. But can you just go up there and be like,
I'd imagine
do it.
I've never been to a Micro Center, but
really?
I've seen. Oh. Yeah, we don't have
them here.
We live West Coast, Washington State.
Oh, okay.
We used to have Fry's, but Fry's is gone now. So,
R.I.P. Fry's.
Micro Center is pretty much East Coast to Central U.S. and is very, very, very slowly continuing to dot itself across the states. I think there's 5 new locations opening up.
Gotcha.
Soon here. I know this because Linus reads off an ad read for Micro Center every 6th video. So that's like ingrained into my brain.
But we have one that's an hour away, I think.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain. I'd look it up, but I think they have like a station where you can bring your PC in or build a new PC there, or at the very least you could just go there. And I'm sure there are people there that would be more than happy to help you out with like picking new parts and stuff that would probably cut you a pretty decent deal as well.
Nice.
Because I know I've only ever heard good things about Micro Center, so
that's where I got all my stuff for my computer originally.
I've only ever heard that it's just the most amazing tech nerd place to go ever, and I'm like, God, I wish we had one.
Take a road trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a friend that lives down in Texas, pilgrimage. So if I ever go down and visit him, he was like, the first thing we're doing is we're taking you to a Micro Center, and I'm like, I have no issues with that.
Nice. Yeah, the one near me, it's okay. Like it feels a little outdated, but it is cool to be able to walk around and just see a bunch of cool stuff on the shelves that you normally only see.
Whenever I went,
bro, Fry's, they up until like 2020. Fry's was still kicking here.
The Fry's we had here was sick. Like I remember going there.
They had like
they have a cafe. It felt like it was a lot of like older PC parts.
It was. But even still, it was just cool walking in and just seeing like all the stuff. Loved it.
Yeah, I think Fry's was trying to do more than they should have, and that's why they went under, because they were selling grills. Yeah. They were selling washers and dryers. They were selling like PC parts. They were
trying to be Best Buy, I think.
They were trying to be Best Buy. Yeah, absolutely. And they weren't. They just
Best
weren't.
Buy also is not doing super great from what I hear. So
with the age of online sales and who goes to Best Buy when you could just get the same thing for the same price the next day?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Amazon probably killed Fry's too, but
yeah, the one thing
it's kind of fucked up.
Go ahead. You go.
Sorry, continue.
No, you go.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say I'm gonna edit that in post, but I won't.
No.
Classic. Average.
I didn't mention this, by the way, but if you ever are mid thought and one of me or Bird, whichever jackass interrupts you, just keep talking. I'll space out the audio in post, and I do that all the time.
2 hours in. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
No
problem.
Because we talk over each other pretty frequently, as you've probably noticed.
Yeah.
And Sparre does a pretty good job of just like making sure in the final edit it doesn't sound like we do that.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could all just keep talking all together, never stop.
Yeah, as long as we have some kind of coherent content still going,
Yeah.
No, my earbud or my headphones.
This guy can't hear us. Hate that guy.
I can hear you guys.
Oh shit! Definitely didn't expect you to hear that.
What? I don't even remember what I was talking about now.
It wasn't important.
I've lost my
Bird, you're up now.
Sick.
Yeah, Bird's up.
I don't remember it. No.
I think you were talking about Amazon and like.
Oh, right.
Killing.
So I needed new earbuds. Because I just needed new earbuds because my old ones were old and bad, and so I was looking at getting some. And me and my roommate, we drove around to like all like the techie stores we could think of. We went to like Best Buy, and then we're like, oh wait, what other tech stores exist? So there aren't really any. So we went to like Walmart and Target and somewhere else. I don't even remember where. But they just had like no earbuds.
Yeah.
Like at all. They had like maybe one brand and a couple of pairs. And I was like, I guess my only option now is to go through Amazon.
Yeah, well, at least you gave it a fair shake, you know?
Yeah, and this was kind of the thing that I was going to talk about, right? It kind of leads into what I was going to say pretty perfectly, is
nice.
The thing I like about brick and mortar stores that hold like tech products is there's a lot of stuff that I want to try out, like headphones specifically. I want to like put them on my head and listen to something in them before I purchase them. Or monitors. I'd like to actually see, you know, how good is the color accuracy? Is the refresh rate actually what is, you know, said? How actually big is it? You know, you can write down the dimensions of something, and sure, that's something of a reference point. But it is always the most helpful to just have it in front of you, and you'll be like, "Wow, it is this big." Now I know.
Yeah.
So it sucks that. Everything seems to be going to online shopping. And while online shopping is convenient, don't get me wrong, I do kind of miss that ability to like stand in front of something, touch it, and like put it on if relevant, you know, before I buy it.
Yeah. Funny enough, the headphones I'm wearing now, I went to a Guitar Center to try them on. And
I have a pair of headphones that I'm looking at right now that I did the same thing.
Are they Audio Technicas?
I don't know. I haven't used these for a while. I used to do music production for a while, and these were like open back headphones that I used for that. So
yeah, well, I'm wearing Audio Technicas, and I read a bunch of reviews, but they have like X20, X30, X40, X50 with all varying price points. So I was like, I'm very curious what the difference is, and so yeah, I just went to a Guitar Center, and funny enough, this was like around the time I was starting the podcast. Which was, I feel like it's mid-pandemic still. We were still a year into 20, like it had only been a year since the pandemic started. So the headphones were like wrapped in a trash bag, and I don't think you were supposed to try them on, but I did. And so I was like, yeah, the 30s. The 30s is what I want. So I got to, if brick and mortars didn't do that, and they didn't exist, you wouldn't be privy to like trying stuff.
Especially with how much some like pairs of headphones and stuff can cost. It's like, I don't want to just blind buy these because as much as you can just send them back, right?
Yeah.
Kind of annoying. Kind of annoying to send them back because then you have to send those back and then you have to get a new pair and like
you have to wait for your refund.
It's a whole process. I don't want to. I just want to have the thing, try it at a store, and then just buy it if I like it or not if I don't.
Yeah, I would have bought it. I would have bought the headphones at Guitar Center, but they didn't have them. They only had the display model. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I don't know. Capitalism sucks. I don't know. Monopolies, and I prefer supporting local, but you can't.
There's sometimes you just
Amazon,
can't.
Man.
Yeah. I mean the power of supply chains. You know.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I mean, you know, we're just people.
I could drive an hour to go to Micro Center, or I could just plop it in a cart on Amazon.
Yeah,
and it'll be here next week.
If I
2
know,
days from now.
Yeah, if I know what I'm buying, I'm just gonna go on Amazon or go on Newegg or whatever online ordering thing I'm going on. It's like I already know I want this. I'm just gonna order it online.
Yeah. Then you don't even have to leave your house. It just arrives on your door. Like the convenience is unmatched.
It stopped happening, but for a while, not all of our packages, but our packages would somewhat frequently get dropped off at our neighbor's place. And our neighbor's a piece of garbage. And he would just take them. And it was really annoying.
That's illegal.
Yes.
Very illegal.
It was. I don't remember all the stuff that he took, but it was some expensive stuff that my dad had ordered. He was pissed.
Uh-oh.
Did you get it back ever?
I don't know how the story ended because...
Bro, you're going to drop that fact and just not give us the tea?
My father is not home.
Mr. Bird.
Call your father now.
Go call Mr. Birdfacts.
Get him on the speakerphone.
All I know is I can end with this story. I can do the WAN show thing where I call him up and I go, "Hey, you're live on the podcast."
Hey, Dad.
Linus does that all the time on the WAN show. He'll just call someone up and he'll just be like, "Hey, you're live on the WAN show," and then he'll continue to say whatever he's going to say.
It's amazing.
When I used to stream, I would have to be like, "Hey, I'm streaming."
Don't say anything stupid.
Instant. Yeah, Bird's brother. Oh my god, I won't get into it.
Yeah,
but
he's
Bird
a character. But yeah, the way I can end that story without I can't give what my dad's story ended as, but. When I moved back from Florida, because I went to college in Florida for a couple years, I had to ship my entire life across the country, essentially. And when I shipped back my stuff when I was coming back, my PC was in like a particular box that was shipped back. And it was supposed to arrive a certain day, and it didn't. And I checked online, and it said that it had been delivered. But it most definitely had not. And so I was like,
oh no,
panicking for like multiple hours. I was like, did it get dropped off at this stupid motherfucker's house? Did he fucking steal my entire PC? I need that thing. Because I wasn't 100%, right? So I wasn't about to just go like bang on his door because I hate interacting with this guy. He's the worst. But it's like, I was about to do it, and then I checked online one last time, and they updated it. And it was like, just kidding, it hasn't been delivered. And I was like, oh, thank God, man. And then it arrived like a couple days later, and I was like, cool, I have my PC again. But man, that was stressful.
Yeah. If that ever happened to me, I would literally just be sitting outside waiting for FedEx or UPS or whoever it is. There's no chance I'm letting it get to that man's door.
It was rough. I was not excited.
We were talking about stuff like online versus in person. And another thing that's online is this game that we play called RuneScape.
That is a game that we play.
You know?
This podcast that we're on about that video game?
Is it? I think so.
This is the great part about Guthix Rest. You show up for RuneScape, and then you just get random stuff that we end up talking about.
Oh, that happens on X-Base. The tangents.
Yeah. I feel like this is turning out to be just Who 2.0. Who are we?
Who are we?
We're just talking.
Who are you?
Sneezed
Who are you?
Really loud outside.
First name. Beep.
Yeah, now you have that over me. I mean, it's not much of a secret, but
I think I knew that before because of
maybe
I knew that
Patreon. I don't know.
I
don't really care. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything.
My real name might be on Patreon. I don't know. Patreon's weird. It's like split up into like my patron and my creator account, and
yeah,
it's like my Bandcamp account. I have like it's one account, but it like splits them when you're in either like creator mode or fan mode.
Oh,
I just wish it was one thing. I don't really like that it's two separate things.
Bandcamp does it
it's
pretty
not a big
good.
deal.
I haven't minded it, but Patreon, it sounds kind of weird.
Can you guys tell me about your Patreon? Because I have no like. Do you
Yeah,
advertise it?
I do mention it.
Yeah, he does.
But
Okay.
what I do with it is non-existent, basically.
Oh, okay.
I will dump the audio there if you want like an ad-free version of the show. And
ad-free, uncensored.
And uncensored when we did censor it.
Oh, are you not censoring anymore?
No,
So I can just swear
less.
a bunch of times.
Say it 3 times.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Fuck, shit, ass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I stopped censoring it mainly because you swore so much and it was a pain to edit.
I'm not gonna apologize.
It added like an extra like 20 minutes of editing to find all the swears and
you have to listen
them
more intently.
Yeah. You
missed a lot.
You DM'd me and complaining that I missed a lot.
Because I'm like, Sparre, if you're gonna do it, do it, bro.
I'm excited now because now when I start editing the old episodes, I'll be like, I found one you missed.
Well, like part of the problem too is like I'm at work a lot, And so I get home and I'm just like tired from work, and I'm like, all right, time to edit the podcast. And I'm like, I also want to play video games while I do this.
The worst time to edit the podcast.
Yep, exactly. So, it's because like my days off, I'm like doing D&D and I'm doing other things, and it's
I feel
like,
that. I edit, like my schedule for editing is pretty rigid, and I have to do that because we have a deadline. So we record on Sunday, and then I edit. I was editing Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, and I would try and export it Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you're tired, man. There's some days I'm like, I don't want to edit at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our current schedule is we normally now record on Wednesdays at noon our time, which gives me like 3 or 4 hours to play around with whatever update dropped, and then we record, and then I will usually not start editing it until the next day, and so I have till Tuesday to have it out.
Oh, okay.
But I've been pretty bad about editing it throughout the week because my workday starts on Thursday.
Hey, well, at least you finish them. It's more than can be said of me.
Finishing is like 99% of what you have to do. So
the hardest part about editing for me is starting off editing, because I apply a bunch of effects. I do the compressor. I filter out any background noise. I do volume normalization, and there's
doing a lot of
legwork,
legwork, like a lot of busy work starting out.
Yeah, and so the problem with that is every time I apply a filter, because it's like 2 to 3 hours of audio twice, so like 4 to 6 hours of audio, or in the case of Life's, triple that. It takes like 10 minutes sometimes for Audacity to finish one pass of that, so I'm sitting there for like half an hour doing that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Playing RuneScape, you're not just sitting there.
It's true, I am playing RuneScape while I do it. But it's just like when we're done recording here, I'm going to definitely just get those out of the way, because that's the most annoying part about starting editing for me, is just getting that out of the way.
Well, hopefully you won't have to do much to mine, because like the way that Oxy and I have it, we've pretty much nailed it down to like all of the EQ, all of that is saved in OBS. So when I load up my editing software, all I have to do is like make sure the videos are in the right place, make sure the audio tracks are synced up, and then I can start. I really don't ever have to mess with EQ.
I might need to get Bird and myself on something like that, because
I highly recommend it.
Right now, I'm just dealing with like completely raw audio. Everything our blue snowballs pick up is on that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not a good
blue
thing.
Snowballs, by the way, not great mics. They're not the worst, but they're not great.
I don't know why they're called blue snowballs. This thing's black.
Blue is the company?
I know. I'm just being an asshole. Blue actually doesn't exist anymore. So.
Oh, was it
Blue Yeti is the most common.
Did they get bought out by Yeti?
They were bought out by Logitech a while back.
Logitech.
And Logitech, as of recently, is just converting the blue branding, as well as a couple other brandings they own. They're just converting it into the G branding.
Nice.
The Logitech G series stuff.
Monopolies everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
I'm going to suggest something for both of you. This is what works for Oxygenate. It just obviously doesn't have to work for you guys, but record in OBS so that you don't have to mess with you have presets. Everything should be saved, like noise gate, EQ, compression, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm curious, why don't you both edit? Why don't you switch back and forth? Why is it?
Because
one person edits the video and one person edits the audio when you could just export
thing. Because I have no interest in doing the video part.
And I think I kind of touched on that when we started, when I was talking about when he asked me to do the podcast. I'm just here so I don't get fined, essentially. I just kind of show up because he wants to do a podcast, and it's fun for me. I started doing the videos because
I'm fine with doing the editing.
Similarly to you, like I kind of like video editing, and so I was like, oh, that sounds like a fun thing. And then I did 2 episodes, and it took me a really long time, and I was like, oh, this is a big commitment. I don't know if I'll continue doing this. Part of that's probably because I put myself at a pretty high quality standard, finding all the stuff and putting it in there. So maybe I'll find a balance eventually. We'll see. But that's why we don't do split audio editing, is because I have no interest in that. And let's be honest here for a second. Sparre runs the show. I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm just here so that Sparre isn't talking to himself.
Like I was explaining earlier too, when I do the audio editing, there's a lot of me like shifting about the timeline to like make us talking sound less terrible.
Yeah.
Because we tend to ram through each other's speech a ton, and I edit out me saying and me breathing into the mic and all that stuff, and it would look really choppy and weird if it was it would look really choppy and weird if it was done in video. Yeah.
We actually for XP Waste, the first ever episode we recorded was not a video. We've talked about this on the episode, but like we've talked about it a couple times, but Bird has never listened to it, so
no,
this is new for him.
Please tell.
So Oxy and I, our first ever episode 1 is called RuneScape Burnout. It's like the Who episode that you guys did. Basically, we were just talking
Burnt
about
out
ourselves
before you even started.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny enough, I think that's in the algorithm gods, like naming it RuneScape Burnout was really good for our show, because a lot of people just search RuneScape, and the title of the episode being RuneScape Burnout, it was being displayed before like actual RuneScape music on Spotify. So I think it really helped with our discoverability in the early days. Like if you search RuneScape now, it probably would not pop up with that episode. But for the longest time in the rankings, it was consistently top 10 for way longer than it should have been. But that first episode was not, it was just audio. And so we did it as kind of like a pilot. We released it to our friends, and we're like, hey, let us know what you guys think. And Scape, who's the founder of TNL, he's like, what is this? We're like, it's a podcast. He's like, what the hell's a podcast? Why can't I see anything? Like, I want to see you guys. So we're like, okay, I mean, we could probably record our faces. He's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to listen to it, or like, I'm not going to listen to it if I can't see you. Like, okay, well then, like, would we post it on YouTube? Like, yeah, make it a YouTube video. Like, okay. So then from then until now, we have our faces on there, and we post it every week on YouTube. And partially it's because Scape asked us to do it, but it's also a lot of people do like just having stuff on in the background like that.
Yeah. I think I talked about that.
That's
at
fair.
One point is the part of the reason I like the WAN show is because they do a lot of like they have cam, but when they're talking about certain like articles and things, they'll like put them on the screen because they have like a whole live streaming setup because their line is Tech Tips. And that was kind of the inspiration for me to do what I did with the that's of the first 2 episodes, because I was like, I kind of like having that second monitor content where like when they're talking about something, I can like look over and be like, oh, that's interesting, and pause the video and like read whatever thing is there or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was my inspiration for doing that. So,
well, I would encourage you guys to do it more.
Yeah.
Because Spotify, you can post your videos on Spotify, and Spotify really liked it.
That's
yeah.
I think I remember Sparre talking about this, but I already forgot.
So I talked about it in a not so great manner because I only listen to podcasts. I don't ever care to like watch podcasts. Yeah. And I'm kind of a podcast purist where I think like if your podcast cannot stand on its own with just the audio, then it's not a podcast. Sure.
It's a video.
Something else.
I remember you were talking about whichever podcast that Markiplier's on. They did like a yoga episode, and the audio is just it's
horrible.
It's awful. Yeah,
I think my wife tried to listen to that, and she's like, "What is this?" There's like meme sounds every 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. They're not podcasters. Their face is their content, so I understand it.
So, it's weird. Distractable has like a lot of like good episodes, but then also there's just like episodes like that one where it's just terrible. And
as far as being a podcast goes, it's terrible.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know, I think part of the reason Guthix Rest is just audio only right now, at least, is because that's how I enjoy podcasts. And, you know, me personally, I see no reason to do a video component. So,
yeah,
you know,
when the video component existed because I saw a reason to have a video component. So it kind of worked out in a way. I just need to stop being lazy.
No pressure. But I think if you wanted to please the algorithm gods, Spotify really wants to be like
interesting. I didn't know that.
The next YouTube type thing for they push videos pretty hard. They got in contact with us actually. We have like a CSM, like a customer success manager at Spotify that we can email, and we had a meeting with them, and Oxy and I were like, they want to talk to us? But I think it's because we were early adopters of video. We started doing the beta. We got it accepted to the beta, and we posted a few episodes. But for us, we couldn't monetize them with our ad. And back then, we're like, I mean, this is how we're kind of funding some pretty early stage things like with Patreon and, you know, the merch and that kind of stuff. So we're like, we can't monetize them. And Spotify is one of the biggest platforms that people consume our podcast on. So like, why would we want to make a video?
Yeah, why would we want to make a version that's just like not as good for us?
Right. So why would we want to post our video? So if you go back and watch XUAce, or if you go back through the backlog, there's like audio only, and then there's like a 2 or 3 episodes where we have video, and then there's a long stretch of audio only, and then it's to the point where we just post video without even thinking about it every single time.
So
what I could do moving forwards, because I still don't personally want to edit video. I just don't have the creative drive to do that. But, you know, if Bird does do the video portion, which I know is a dumb way to go about it, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I could go back and just replace the audio only.
That's what I was going to ask. Is like, how would that work? Is
pretty sure you can re-upload.
You can just replace it.
Yeah, because I know YouTube, you can't actually. There was like a brief window of time where you were allowed to like replace things and keep the actual like video analytics and stuff, but they don't allow that anymore. So I was curious.
Yeah, you can just wholly replace the episode, and it keeps all of its like analytics as if you didn't even do anything to it. The only thing that changes is all on the timeline. It just shows it was republished.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
because I accidentally did that to an episode once. I accidentally deleted it, and I had to repost it.
El Bozo.
It's all saved.
Yeah. I don't know, because I don't remember. It might have been. It was either the first or second episode, but I feel like there was something I did that you missed when you edited the audio version. That I was just like, this sucks, I hate this, and ended up splicing it. So one of those 2 video episodes is like fundamentally different than the audio version.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's also hard. But that was because at that time, right? I was like, these are basically just separate entities at this point. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. Well, you might have to get the audio from Sparre.
Yeah, and then just add your
elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'd be fine with, but at that point I didn't know that was like the process that we were going to be doing. So we'll see what happens. But
no, I mean, like we can just I think replace the audio and the video.
Well, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, because that version is different. Like, there's some possible. I'd have to go back and check what I actually changed, but there's some possibility that like something is left out, or because it's fundamentally different. I don't know. You know, it
should be fine,
probably, but. The point stands that it is fundamentally different, and so you are removing something that is different from existence, essentially, if you replace the old audio version with the video version.
Oh.
There's even a bulk replace episodes button, if like I just want to do like a bunch at a time. Yeah, if you go to your episodes tab in podcasters or podcasters.spotify.com, there's a bulk replace episodes. No, it's just in the episodes tab. Not in the settings.
Oh, there is. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bulk replace episodes. Replace. Wow.
If I ever video edit.
Yeah. Replace your audio with a video file to create a video episode on Spotify.
Hey, there you go. It's happening.
If I ever create a video episode version of this, I'm gonna have to ask you to send me a screenshot of that menu so that people can see.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Do you not have the login for Spotify for podcasters?
I'm like I said, man. I'm so backseat on this. I'm not involved.
Yeah, I love looking at the analytics.
That's actually true. I got to see the analytics for
all the time.
First 2 video episodes, and the YouTube analytics are kind of fun to look at. I'm very much a numbers guy. I love looking at numbers. So
yeah, we recently just hit 500,000 total streams.
Sheesh.
500,000. Been played 500,000 times.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I think we could hit. I think we could hit like 600 or 700K. I think this year.
I'll just start putting them on loop for you. I got you.
Do it. Go through the backlog.
I retweeted that tweet of you getting 500,000.
Yeah.
And I hopped into a chat with someone, a potential future guest, and they were like, "Oh, congratulations, by the way, on hitting 500,000 plays." And I was like, "No, that's not ours.
I wish that was us. Damn, we'd be doing good after 9 episodes, 500,000. Jeez,
that would be insane.
That'd be crazy.
Oh my god, we'd be popping off.
Guys, it'd be Well, it kind of works out because we get about 5,000 per episode, and so we have 110, I think, 109. And we're in the hundreds now.
That's crazy, man.
Anyway,
crazy. We're averaging about 200 per episode right now.
Welcome to the Guthix Rest business meeting, everyone.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, we're at 1,840 all-time plays, 198 on average.
Yeah, that's right. You sent that. I was like, there's no way that many people listen to this stupid shit. What the heck?
Yeah.
It's fun to wake up and realize that you're just in a bunch of ear holes.
Yeah, I think I'll ever. I get DMs sometimes about it. I don't know if you do, Bird, but I definitely get DMs randomly about it.
I think people understand that I'm very backseat on this. You know, I think the people know.
Okay, everyone, if you're listening now, DM Birdfacts on Discord.
Don't involve me
how much you love the show.
I'm just here.
I think he's in TNL. You can find him.
I think that's also it though. Is you're a little more active in TNL, and I imagine a lot of people that are DMing you are from TNL, and they'll see you in voice chat or hanging out on the server, and so they'll be like, "Oh, I can talk to this guy.
Sparre.
He exists."
And Sparre, he posts in our self promo, so they're like, "Oh, that's the guy."
Yeah. To be fair, Bird did once.
Yeah, I did one time.
Did?
Yeah, I think I posted
the
episode
audio,
2.
the video.
Yeah, the video episode 1 and 2 I think are in there, but I probably I probably won't post the self promos for all the old videos.
Could post the you could do is post
if I ever catch up, I'll be like, "Hey guys, the video versions of all the old episodes exist."
Yeah.
And you can watch this week's episode.
You want content to go back and watch.
Yeah.
So, does anyone remember what this is a tangent from? Because I wrote it down because I realized we were going so far.
No. This is a tangent from DaVinci Resolve.
No, that was before this.
We're tangenting off a tangent.
DaVinci Resolve got tangented to PC parts and stuff.
But then PC parts got tangented to the online versus offline, like brick and mortar.
That's true.
And then we started talking about us playing RuneScape, and then we started talking about, I don't know. You wrote it down.
You asked me about the Patreon.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna write this down because I feel like we've been talking for 20 minutes now. Which I think we have been talking about 20 minutes since I mentioned the Patreon. Bird is going to be forced now to edit in how long it's actually been.
Hell yeah.
If I ever edit it.
Thank you, Birdfacts.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, future me. That's probably 2 months down the line, finally getting through the backlog, you know?
So, right now, the Patreon is just if you want to give us money so we can improve our setups, it exists. But I post the audio there if you just want it for some reason. And if I do edit and get it out early, then it goes on there, before it goes live on Tuesday.
Gotcha.
And that's about it. I don't have better perks that I think I could give, so it exists.
Yeah, I think we talked about
there's
it
not
early
enough
on,
people,
but it's kind of just like a formality of Sparre wanted to have like all of the things that content creators have just set up, established, done with.
Mm-hmm. I wanted it to seem professional, mostly. So like, that's why from episode 1 we have the formality of having an ad break, even though
I love it.
Didn't enable ads.
I love it.
Yeah, that was inspired by John and Hank Green's podcast, where they just do the same thing but about whatever random topic they're talking about.
I like that. Hank and John, Hank specifically, I follow him on TikTok. He's great.
Mm-hmm. He has good TikToks.
Yeah, I see.
He's cancer, by the way.
I hope he has a speedy recovery. That sucks.
I see his TikToks through YouTube. They eventually make it to YouTube Shorts, and sometimes I see them on YouTube, but I don't really.
Old man.
Yeah,
freaking boomer.
I think we've talked about it before.
I watch my TikToks on YouTube.
I think we've talked about it before on the cast. I am
also watch them on YouTube.
So uninvolved with social media. I have a Twitter. I never use it. I have, I think I had an Instagram. I've never used it. And TikTok came around. I'm like, dude, I'm never going to use this platform. I'm not going to even make an account.
Do you guys want to guess? I'm going to pull up my screen time right now. You guys want to guess how long I spend on average on TikTok in a week?
Oh no. Okay,
16 hours.
A lot of hours shot in the dark on YouTube. I spend, I think 40 hours is my screen time, but that's because I let stuff play while I sleep. Okay, I'm not actively watching. I'm gonna say with TikTok though, you're at like 25 hours a week.
Okay, Bird, you were almost on the money. It was last week. My average screen time on my phone was 4 hours and 50 minutes for the entire day. That was all of my phone.
Got it.
But last week specifically, my most used app was 15 hours and 15 minutes of TikTok.
Oh, I was so close.
You're so freaking close.
It was just a random shot in the dark. I had no idea.
The week before that, 14 hours, 43 minutes. The week before that, 13 hours.
Dude, I get it
doesn't
though.
go back that far.
Every once in a while, I'll get on the fucking YouTube Shorts stuff, and I try and stay away from it because I know it's just like budget TikTok, and it's just kind of like not as good. But I understand why people end up on TikTok for so long, because I'll catch myself like after like 20 minutes, I'll be like, "Holy crap! I can't." You can just keep scrolling through this stuff.
Yeah,
it just goes.
Yeah, it helps me grind, actually. Like, if I'm sitting on the couch, and say my son is like, he's got the TV locked down, he's watching Cars. He's 2. If he's got the TV locked down, I have a little stand for my iPad, and I've configured it in a way that I can put my iPad and my phone on the stand that sits on my lap. And so he doesn't care that I'm watching loud TikToks while he's watching his show. So I'm just scrolling. And it helps me kind of focus for boring grinds that I can do on my iPad. But I'm also addicted to TikTok.
No, that's fair. I like I said, I completely understand. Like after spending a little bit of time on YouTube Shorts, I was like, okay, I understand why TikTok is so popular and addictive now. This makes sense.
There's something about it. It like just hooks into like the dopamine receptors.
It's also the algorithm driven content. Like,
it's very algorithm driven because they know me and they know what I like.
Yeah.
And
they feed it to me constantly.
Yeah.
I watched a really interesting video essay recently about sludge videos, which is Bird and I joked about it one episode. I think like the first or second episode.
Oh,
the videos that Subway Surfers with text on the screen.
Yeah.
And
the Reddit.
It's like you have something that's going on, and then also you have the little jingly keys at the bottom of the screen for whatever it is.
Yeah, apparently they're called sludge videos.
Minecraft parkour.
Yeah, because I distinctly remember that bit, because when I did the video edit, I edited like 5 different things onto the screen.
Oh, hell yeah. I've legitimately thought about like making TikToks for the XUA's podcast.
Yeah, just
but
like
having like
type thing.
Yeah, highlight clips, but having like people running agility or doing like RuneScape content underneath it.
Just like some guy
like bossing.
Yeah, boring Zammy or something.
Exactly. Something repetitive that's you could just mindlessly watch. Like running rooftops or something.
Or like just doing P4 wardens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just back and forth.
Yeah, just running the wardens.
There's another RuneScape podcast called Boon Bape, and I know they do like TikTok content, and that seems to do well for them.
Yeah, Boon Bape is awesome. I tend to think that specifically the girl that streams, I feel like she's a streamer first and like a podcaster on the side versus their main gig as a podcast.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
When I listened to them for a little while, like I started listening to them maybe like a month or two before I started doing Guthix Rest. And as soon as I started doing Guthix Rest, I was like, okay, everything I'm getting out of this podcast is already what I'm like doing
they cover the news.
Research for. Yeah,
that was one thing I was kind of worried about when we started this podcast. I was worried we'd be like we were talking about earlier, just like dime a dozen content. And I think because we go on so many stupid tangents, it ends up.
We still haven't talked about the game.
No, we still haven't. I was gonna bring that up in a second here. If we want, we could talk about the game. But like, I don't know. I'm having a good time chatting. I think we should go to break first,
and then
it has been 2 hours. So
maybe this is the legendary 4-hour podcast.
Ain't no way. Surely we just do another hour max of just like talking about what's going on in the game. And then Michael can go do the rest of his life.
I'm gonna get 69 Hunter.
All right, yeah, I think now is a great time then to transition into the ads, because this week's podcast was sponsored by the Storm Over Michael's House, ruining podcasts near you.
This week's episode was not brought to you by Micro Center. We don't have a sponsor, but I hear they're awesome.
This week's episode was brought to you by the tiny fan I have on my desk, keeping me cool.
Welcome back from the break, everyone, as these guys laugh and mock at me.
This guy's a zero.
I didn't know we were coming back so quick.
No, we are coming back.
We're here.
We're here.
What are you drinking?
Yeah, so what am I drinking? I am drinking a gallon.
Did we talk about this?
Arnold Palmer half and half iced tea lemonade.
How did this get out? Because I remember at some point we had a conversation with someone.
It was with Life.
Was it
that
Life?
You only drink water and he wanted this to be a thing?
Well, I couldn't remember if we talked about that offer on the podcast.
It was on.
Okay.
I kept it in.
Oh yeah, because that was with Life. That's right. Because he was like, "No, you should keep that." Yeah, I remember now.
I had to cut a lot of stuff from that conversation because we, had a lot of audio issues, so we went in and out of being in podcast mode. But no, that was one of the things I kept in.
I remember that. I kind of forgot.
Yeah, no, I'm drinking a gallon of sweet tea that I bought on the way home today.
A gallon?
Wow. Not the whole thing.
Are you just drinking straight out of the
Is it from the
thing?
carton? Like from the gallon? Or are you putting it in a cup?
You pour it in
a jug.
So he's like, you're manhandling.
But are you drinking straight from the gallon thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mine.
I mean, yeah. I was just curious, man. I don't know.
When you get to the bottom, it's gonna be like 50% backwash. There's not going to be a lot of tea content at the end. I'm drinking water.
Hell yeah.
I cracked a beer, but yeah, I'm drinking water.
I'm not much of a beer drinker, so like when I drink, it's usually like a mixed drink, and just doing that throughout the week is kind of, it would look like I have a problem.
Are you guys going to at some point figure out like what herbs closely resemble the real life versions and actually make a Guthix Rest and try it?
I would love to.
That's the IRL episode,
Do it.
Yeah.
Don't you both live in the same city?
Yeah. I can drive to his house in like 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah. I'm jealous. I'm not jealous that you live close because I mean I have friends in real life, but podcast wise, I would much rather be in the same room as Oxy.
Yeah, I think
you guys have done more collabs than or not collabs, but like in-person episodes than I thought you would. You know?
Yeah. Well, Patreon is very much funding that. So.
Yeah, that was the one thing that we had was the reason we don't do it in person is because we don't have the greatest setup. And the audio quality is just going to be better if we just both stay at our houses until we figure out a setup.
We discussed it. I was like, okay, we could record, but it would be in like my basement.
Yeah, like my back room if my parents are not home, which 90% of the time they aren't, but not 100% of the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Plus the aforementioned brother from earlier potentially barging in the middle of a podcast recording.
He hasn't done it before, but
that's just
no
keeps you on your feet.
One of the episodes I kept it in. Your brother yells something in the background and you mention him yelling.
I think that was last episode actually.
Probably.
I'm just saying I'm jealous. Y'all could
together.
A podcast dynamic, like being in person podcast dynamics is way different than over Discord.
Mm-hmm. I think eventually we probably will. I would like to at least. I think it'd be way more fun. But just as of now, the reason we don't is because it would probably just be bad. It would be a worse listening experience.
Especially snowballs and no sound engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Not soundproofing, because you're not proofing any sound, but you're just making it less...
I do need to get some bass traps for this room because there's a bit of an echo, and it's noticeable when I'm editing fish in your room? Really paying attention.
The bass, they're fishing around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, bass traps for sound dampening.
I
They're
actually
like little foam triangles.
I bought 3 like 2x4, 2 feet by 4 feet. I bought 3 sound panels off of Amazon, and they're currently sitting still in the box next to me because
you're just like me.
Like my room sounds fine. I don't know why I bought them.
Yeah, I still have.
I mean,
all Patreon of my stuff from Florida.
It's not something I think you'll notice until you put them up, but
that's true.
Maybe
like
it was more so because I share a wall. Like, so the wall that I'm currently looking at is shared with my son's room. And the only time I'm ever really doing podcast stuff is when he's napping or is asleep. So he's like asleep right now. So then if I am too loud, there's potential I could wake him up. But that hasn't happened yet. So we're in the clear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much sound panels would do in dampening that
I know.
leaking into another room, but
yeah. Good.
I mean, maybe it'll help.
Who knows?
It couldn't
I'll put
hurt.
them up one day. So we'll see if it changes anything.
But yeah, I'd love to do like an in-person recording at some point. Someday. And maybe that'll be the episode we make an IRL Guthix rest. But I was like, oh, what would that be like? And I looked at the description for some of the herbs. It's a 2 Guam, Harlander, and a Marantil. And the Guam is described as a bitter green herb.
Okay.
A Harlander is a useful herb. And the Marantil is an herb used in poison cure. And I'm like,
okay.
What?
You could tweet Mod Ash. He's very insightful on those things. When Oxy and I did our IRL, not IRL, but we did our drinking episode, we messaged him and asked what the doggo leaf or something. It's in one of the gnome cocktails. And he's like, the closest IRL thing is a bay leaf. So, if you're ever wondering, tweet Mod Ash.
I remember that. I don't know if I agree with it being a bay leaf, but like,
you didn't make the game.
It's a tasty herb, good for seasoning. So
nice.
I guess maybe
it's tasty.
But yeah, that was a good episode. The drinking one. You guys.
I always love doing that. I want to do more. I want to do I would love to do it every 25 episodes. I think that would be because that's a good 4 month, 5 month in between. Every 50 is a long. That's like once a year.
Yeah. I think that would be a fun thing to do, but Bird doesn't drink, so it definitely wouldn't be something that we do on our show.
Yeah, the temporary job I had last week was with a wine company. They were doing bottling, and they just needed some help packaging and bottling and doing all that stuff. And they at the end of it, they offered us all wine, and while I took a bottle, I will not be drinking it because I have never gotten used to the taste of ethanol. It just, I don't know. It's too strong. No matter how light an alcoholic drink is, it will just taste like alcohol to me.
Right.
So,
and some people like it, some people don't.
And I don't.
That's
and
fair,
it's just not something that I'm willing to, like, I'm sure if I got more used to the flavor and, started drinking some stuff that had other flavors in it, it'd probably be fine. But as of right now, even if it's like a mixed drink, I just taste the alcohol, and it's just not for me.
Huh. That's how I was with coffee growing up. I hated coffee. If it was like coffee ice cream, I would seethe and I would like retch, and I'd be like, get that away from me. And then I went to college, and I lived in the dorms, and I was not used to getting up that early because I was homeschooled. And so I started drinking coffee, and I have not stopped since.
I started drinking coffee in middle school, which is terrible, I know.
He's got gray hairs.
Oh my gosh.
So I started off drinking like Monsters because, all the cool kids drink, giant cans of energy drink. But then I started trying those like bottled iced Starbucks.
Oh, the Starbucks ones, yeah. Frappuccinos.
Yeah, and I really like those because it's just sugar in a can, basically, or in a bottle. And my then girlfriend, if you can count a middle school relationship as a girlfriend, was actually into coffee. She had like a mocha pot and stuff, and so she was my gateway drug into having actual coffee. And it was great in high school when I had to get up super early for classes, and then in college, and I just got really into coffee in high school, and post high school now I have an espresso maker, and I make lattes and stuff at home.
But I had to resist the urge to just flame you for saying you had to get up early for high school, because I did jazz band, so I had to get up an hour and a half earlier. So
yeah, it sucks.
Can't relate.
Jazz band was fun though, so I didn't actually care. I love jazz band.
I was definitely homeschooled, and I would do half-ass work so I could finish whatever I was doing in Play RuneScape.
Hell yeah! I never did my homework because I was too busy playing RuneScape. So.
Hey, there you go.
You when you were talking about like the years you played RuneScape, I always I was reminded of the fact that like I didn't really play RuneScape for that long when I did play back as a kid. I played from 2006 to like maybe a bit of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So like not even 2 years.
Yeah.
And for some reason now I'm horribly addicted.
Different times.
Sucks, man.
Dopamine, nostalgia, it's all a bunch of drugs. In your brain.
It kind of explains why I didn't play Old School when it first came out. My brother was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, RuneScape's a thing again. If you want to play that," and I was like, not really." And then a few years later, 2018, I start playing again.
Speaking of RuneScape,
let's talk about this game update. Now that we're 12 minutes into our second recording. So you and Oxy talked about the forestry stuff.
We did
already on your recording.
Yeah, we did. So it's fresh on the noggin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have to pull up I'm not even gonna pull up the thing. I'm gonna go with my photogenic memory.
Straight off the dome piece.
Off the dome. So do you want me to introduce it?
Yeah, if you want.
So Forestry is set to release June 28th. That's Wednesday. And they're going to be doing it in 2 parts. So, bit controversial, if you ask me. Forestry has been no beta, and a lot of people were up in arms. 2 out of 3 people in this call probably were up in arms. And
I'll be honest, no, I don't think Forestry needed a beta.
Well,
I
do, because I was very confused reading everything that
I mean, like I said earlier in the podcast, this might just be because I have an actual degree in understanding the way that game developers and designers think. It just made sense. I was like, yep, checks out. I don't know.
There's a lot of intricacies that I think people want to get their hands on, but you're right. Is at the end of the day, they could have just, well, they're going to just put out the update, and people are just going to have to, learn it then. But I think the beta would have been nice to be able to get.
Obviously, I wouldn't have
play
been against
testing.
the beta, but
I mean, the beta was really there for testing how strong the teas and campfires were going to be.
Yeah. Well, to get people's opinion on how in a real world scenario, because you can only QA so much in a real world scenario, are these events too annoying? Are people going to play these events? And it would have saved them a lot of hot fix, cold fix, trying to rebalance everything if they could have just got data from a bunch of people doing it instead of maybe 3 mods playing it at a time.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Thankfully, with woodcutting though, it's a pretty low stakes thing to fuck up.
Yeah, true.
That was kind of my opinion on it. Was why I didn't think it needed a beta.
Sure.
I thought it was ridiculous that we were getting a beta because I was like, the last thing we baited was fucking the new prayer book, which is insane. And then they're like, hey guys, we're gonna beta these new tree changes. And to me, it's like, do we need to? I don't know. I definitely get it from the perspective of them having actual data on how it will actually be received when released, if it needs to be tuned, etc. But I feel like in the past, they've only ever had beta worlds for game balance type things. And this doesn't feel a whole lot like game balance. So that was why it seemed a little odd.
It was going to be. What Sparre mentioned with the teas and the spices and stuff.
That is... That's a whole nother conversation.
The British?
Teas, spices. No, not the spices. The teas and the fires.
Yeah. That was a whole nother thing that I don't even think would have... The beta wouldn't have changed my opinion on those, right?
Okay. We're getting ahead of ourselves if we talk
we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but...
Yeah.
It's just, I didn't think that needed a beta. That just didn't make any sense, but probably should continue talking about the rest of Forestry.
So again, this is off the dome. June 28th, that's a Wednesday. They're going to be releasing the group boosts. So up to 10 people chopping the same tree, you'll have an invisible boost up to plus 10. They're going to be releasing the events as well as
half of the events.
Some of the events. You'll have the Freaky Forester shop with the anima infused bark. I'm forgetting one thing. I lied when I said I'm not opening anything.
2-handed axes.
Tree timers and
timers.
2-handed axes.
Yeah, the timers. That's a big one because they actually changed the timers quite a bit.
Yeah, because they're actually consistent now. It's not just a 1 in 8 chance to cut down a tree whenever you get a log. Now there's a real timer.
Here's my question, and we didn't actually get this answered on XP Waste. So with the timers, so for instance, you're chopping a willow. The despawn timer is 30 seconds. So is it just a guarantee that you have 30 seconds of it not despawning, and then after that it's the 1 in 8 chance? Or is it going to just despawn after 30 seconds?
As soon as 30 seconds are over, as long as someone is still actively chopping the tree, it will just be cut down.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like Motherlode mine upper level.
So it's a guarantee though. So for redwoods, you're guaranteed almost 5 minutes of consistent chopping.
Free AFK time.
Yeah.
Wow.
4 minutes, 24 seconds.
Pretty cracked.
Love this change because I have always hated woodcutting because when I AFK something, I want it to have some semblance of consistency. I don't want to have to look over from whatever I'm doing because I'm probably doing something else. I want to look over at a somewhat consistent rate. And I hated AFKing woodcutting because sometimes I'd have to click on the screen every other game tick, it felt like.
Yeah, there's sometimes I got like activity logged because I was chopping and I didn't touch the screen. And then sometimes
you just never have to touch it, and other times you'd have to touch it every other second. It was frustrating. I didn't like it. So I'm a big fan of the base tree changes. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't have many, if any, complaints with what's coming in the first part.
Same.
The two-handed axes, the
Absolutely.
events, group boosts, and the
Okay.
timers.
We can briefly talk about the thing we talked about in two-handed axes in Petscape.
It's
Oh my god,
interesting.
yeah.
I use interesting kind of in a negative sense.
Yeah,
I'd like
I kind
to
of
get your
agree.
guys' thoughts.
Because originally when they talked about two-handed axes, they were like, yeah, it's going to be a way to essentially get less logs, but more XP or something.
Mhm.
I believe is the way it was originally
so it's
discussed.
18% more XP with a 20% chance not to get the log.
Yeah, which is cool at its base at face value. But then you get the whole run energy mechanic.
Yeah,
This seems completely
it's
unnecessary.
weird.
I don't understand why this exists at all.
Balancing.
Is this just them trying to strong arm people to actually use Forester's rations?
Yes. Balancing.
Why?
Partially, I think Forester rations exists because of the two-handed axe, not the other way around.
But that
I
don't know about that, because when two-handed axes were initially announced and discussed in the original Forestry blog, they seemed to have a decent idea of what was going on with two-handed axes. And there was no mention of the run energy thing. And I think the Forester's ration existed separately, and they realized that the Forester's ration was completely useless and decided to strong-arm it into this. That's my crackpot theory.
I feel like you have a false memory of how I feel like you have a false memory of how confident they were in what two-handed axes were going to be in those early blogs.
Oh, I guarantee you they weren't extremely confident, but the idea that they were, you get less logs but more XP, was already there, right?
Yeah.
And that's all they are,
I feel like
except
they
they also have
hadn't
run
shared.
energy tied onto it now. Nothing has changed about the design except for this run energy thing.
Is there an answer to, is Forester rations going to be stackable, or
Yes.
are they going?
Yeah.
Can you imagine though, outside of are we going to need stamina potions? You have stackable run energy.
That's
Yeah.
well,
That's
'Cause it gives
been
you
something
30
that people
run
have been
energy
talking
back.
about.
yeah. I didn't even think of that.
A lot of people have been complaining on Reddit and Twitter.
Because originally
that,
it was 3%, right?
Yeah.
And now that they have added the two-handed axe, because that's another
the thing
thing.
is,
That's why
you
I think
don't
that
need the
this is
two-handed axe for the run energy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just hold a normal axe, get full energy in 4 swings, or 90% in 3.
which is another reason
be
why
on
I
your
think the
merry
run
way.
energy thing was just tacked on to two-handed axes. I don't know. It feels because it feels like they wanted more of a place for the run energy thing, because originally it was only 3%, right? And then they were like, okay, well then it's not even a thing that's affecting anything at all. So we need to make it so you lose a ton of run energy. But now because you're gaining more run energy from the Forester's ration in order to compensate for what two-handed axes are doing, well now Forester's rations are more useful literally anywhere else in the game. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Forester rations were maybe originally made for Solaceps, or something like Solaceps that
true,
maybe
yeah.
they have planned in the future.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
gonna be for
they
future
realized,
content.
I hate that though.
Yeah,
I don't.
you don't need.
I don't
run
ever
energy
vote
in
yes on
Solaceps.
things that are clearly designed for future content. If it doesn't affect what's in the game right now, why should I care? Just add the
Fair.
thing that affects the new content when the new content comes out. I don't understand
I don't
that
know.
one personally. Because then what happens, right? If you get a thing that's going to affect new content in the game, what if that passes? And then what if the new content fails? Now you have a useless item.
That's true.
Because that's what I think is going to happen to Menophyte remedies. I don't think overloads are going to pass. And Menophyte remedies are going to continue to exist in the space where they're just kind of a useless item.
Yeah,
Wait.
I can see that.
Overloads. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, so Menophyte remedies and a bunch of other potions they've been adding recently are just they've talked about this. They want to eventually add overloads to the game.
And I would vote no on that
a
instantly.
non-raids version. So there's where are they? The Forgotten Brews, the Menophyte remedies. There's one more that they've added. I don't remember, but they're working towards getting all.
I didn't know that the
components.
Forgotten Brew was a part of that, because the Forgotten Brew is just adding a magic potion that doesn't suck to the game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a part of the Overload.
Because the Forgotten Brew I'm fine with, because it actually has a place standalone in the game. It gives you the bonus of an imbued heart without needing an imbued heart.
Hey boys,
because we
give
have
me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
I'm going to continue my thought anyways, because we have ranging potions, right, that have a percentage scale. We have attack, strength, and defense potions that had a percentage scale. And then we had magic potions that were just +4.
Yeah, that's
Forgotten
true.
Brews have an actual place.
Yeah, they also lower your stats.
I guess
they lower attack, strength, and defense.
I guess that's true.
But yeah, Menophyte remedies are just, a component for.
They have some like super weird niche uses that are just negligible.
Yeah, I used them somewhere for something. I can't remember. They weren't very good though. They also remove all your divine effects, by the way.
That's awful.
Yeah. Which is dumb.
Come back.
Welcome back. Yeah, so...
But yeah, Menophyte remedies were basically a piece of the puzzle for them to add overloads in the future.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I voted no on them, because they serve no purpose on their own.
I don't know. That to me, I don't think like that when I'm voting, because I would vote yes to anything as long as they're like, and this could be more useful later. Because I actually do kind of frame my thoughts around content in the sense that, okay, so it's not useful now, but what could it be useful for like, what are the possibilities of this item long term? Because we're not like, I want this game to be around for a lot longer. And so for that to happen, it has to evolve, it has to change. And so, if this...
Careful with the whole evolving and changing thing. You might start up an entire section of the community.
Listen, that happens on X2A Salon. Because I actually did say I want combat to evolve.
That was the last one, wasn't
thinking
it?
About it. No, it was. I think it was during the drinking episode, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, I think you did make an EOC reference though in the last one too.
Yeah, we did. We talk about RuneScape 3 a lot, but no, like I want the game to thrive, and if that means that content, if they're doing not specifically saying this is not useful now, but this is useful for something we have planned, but more so trying to frame it around this could be useful for things we're not thinking of, like the prayer book.
It's emergent gameplay.
Yeah. That's my thought.
I could understand the emergent gameplay argument, but that's I think that's kind of different. It's definitely a case-by-case basis thing, right?
Yeah.
Like for Menophyte remedies, I'm going to go back to that. There's still no use for those. They had like a couple weird niche uses where they're still like terrible at, and nobody uses them. How much of Leads of the Sand worth? Probably like 2 GP. Nobody cares.
1,200.
And that's probably only because they're like
Menophyte remedies are
somewhat
used
uncommon.
In a scam. Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. Awesome.
The full potion is worth 350 GP.
Oh,
while
nice.
All the 1, 2, and 3 doses are worth like 1.1 to 1.5. So people buy large stacks of 4 doses, and then
interesting.
Try to sell you a stack of 3 dose or whatever to scam you out of whatever. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but. Yeah, like I said, it goes kind of on a case-by-case basis thing, because like something like the Menophyte remedy, it's worthless out the gate. Mm-hmm. And sure, maybe it could become a useful thing in the future, but I think it's more important to me where it has like some actual solid ground uses already, and then in the future maybe we discover even more uses for it. But if there is no purpose for it to exist currently that anyone can find, even if they announce it and like no one can find it.
Yeah,
it just shouldn't be in the game.
Sure, I kind of agree with that. If you're on the fence about it, then you could be like, well, maybe in the future. But if you're like, this is dead content out the gate, that's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, and the other thing I think that a lot of people that have kind of a similar opinion to me that argue is if you vote yes on this thing that has no current use but will have a use in future content, but then future content gets voted no, that is also a valid concern, I think. But then we also get to the another completely different topic of what even gets voted no in this game anymore.
Not
PvP much, it feels like.
PvP.
Even that, though, we've been voting yes, you know? Like, the last one we voted no to was Amir's Arena. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like there's definitely stuff that people still vote no on. And I think it's also a part of a larger fact that they have a pretty decent grasp on what will make this game better at this point.
Yeah.
That a lot of content is just decent enough to get into the game.
Yeah.
I was about to say I'm pretty sure, but I know that there are a lot of hardcore players that are pissed that stuff like this just makes into the game regardless. Because
Screw you, Automology.
I made the mistake of going on Reddit recently because somebody posted a Reddit thread about, very enfranchised players that care about the quality of the game, saying that the game is changing and evolving, and that's not a good thing. Game,
yeah, you're talking about the Automology tweet.
Yeah.
Nice. I hate that guy.
No, tweet. I wasn't on Twitter. It was a Reddit.
Well, they probably reposted his tweet.
It was very long on Reddit, but I was like,
or maybe it was I don't know.
While I can understand,
he had the same sentiment.
While I can understand not like wanting to keep Old School at its roots to some degree, the game does have to evolve to some point, because otherwise, let's be honest with ourselves, even we're going to get bored of it if it never changes.
Right.
I'm going to go play something else. The competition is fierce these days. There's a lot of good games that are asking for your time.
Yeah. Yep.
So this game needs to continue being good enough to be worth my time.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. And I think I definitely lean sometimes more towards a lot of things that Old School need to stay Old School to some degree. But I also find myself in that middle ground of like, well, this sucks, and I'd be fine with it changing. Because there's a lot of part of Old School that suck and should change.
Yeah.
And so the TLDR from this update is Forestry Part 1 is still set to release later this month, with Part 2 following in August. There will be no beta for Forestry Part 1, but we're discussing and showcasing Forestry in the upcoming live stream and Discord stages events. New leaves, teas, campfires, tertiary effects, and bonfires have been moved to Part 2, providing us with more time to discuss and detail them. And we will be continuing to pull campfires and teas at a later date once we've moved we have our second round of community consultation, which I'm happy they're doing. I'm happy they're doing community consultation for
Community consultation is great. It has a more direct outlet nowadays, I feel. Because in the past, I've always felt they're like, hey, let us know what you think. And what that actually means is we're going to look at the most popular Reddit posts, and that's going to be what you guys think.
Yeah.
And that was terrible. That was awful.
we complained about that.
Yeah, I've complained about that many times.
Doing the podcast, but
this is
Bird and I
community consultation is a very recent thing, and I think it's a great idea. It's definitely not perfect, but I think it's a significantly better solution than how they used to receive feedback from players.
Yeah, and not everybody wants to take a survey either. So
no, I love surveys. I'm always like, ooh, they got a new survey up. I'm taking that. I'm a little survey gremlin, but
usually I am too.
Yes, I just appreciate that they're doing it. They're taking these pieces of feedback from multiple channels. They're looking on Reddit. They're looking on Twitter.
Yeah,
they're looking.
It seems like Discord. They genuinely do give a damn, and that's good.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I think they're very aware of the position that they're in, where if they make too large of sweeping changes, they are going to lose a significant portion of their player base. That is that very hardcore Old School needs to be very niche thing type of game. So
how many of those still exist though?
I don't know, but clearly they do.
If I had to guess, okay, so we have a couple million accounts potentially. I don't know how many active. Okay, so daily what? 70 to 100K.
Yeah.
considering bots too.
Currently, 99,430 people are playing.
So maybe I want to say it hovers 60% are real.
I want to say it hovers peak around like 100K on average, which is pretty good.
So there's probably 1 to 3%. If I had to put a number to it, 1 to 3% of the community is probably like purists.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I feel like it's a very vocal minority, and it tends to be like of the
very vocal,
high level, very vocal.
Yeah,
it tends to be like the really high level players.
Yeah,
like Sebe used to be like that, where he was just like nothing should change ever. There's a PvPer that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head that is like that as well, with like nothing should change in the wilderness and it should have all these weird restrictions because I don't want it to be different than it was in 2006 when I started PKing.
There's people who would play on a server that was stuck in 2007.
There definitely are, and I don't think that would be financially viable. So sucks to be them.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? Capitalism.
Let's go capitalism.
Sucks to be you. If it's not financially viable, we don't care.
No, I hate it.
Yeah, what can you do though?
Yeah.
Part one's gonna be easy. I think I have no quarrels with it.
Yeah, no, this is a good update to the game. Two-handed axes are still a little weird, but
yeah.
It's good enough. I'm fine.
Bird and I had a conversation about two-handed axes. There's a Reddit thread. Someone suggested instead of run energy, because running around and stamina potting by smacking a tree is kind of weird. They're like, what if it was special attack energy? Oh. And I was just like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, somebody responded by saying like it is an interesting idea at face value, right? But then somebody responded, well, they can't do that because then the new corp meta would be to walk out the cave and chop a tree to get your spec energy back. That is a terrible example. Nobody would do that.
Yeah.
But there are instances in the game where this would be very good. I immediately thought there's two places in Chambers of Xeric where it would be probably kind of insane, right?
Yeah.
Mudded chop a tree. So if it works on the meat tree, you could unleash specs against both Mudded and Momadile.
Yeah.
And theoretically just destroy them. I don't know how viable that would be, especially considering the rate you chop the meat tree and considering the mechanics of those bosses, because you either have to freeze them in order to make sure they don't go to the tree ever, and then they'll get stuck for a while there, so maybe that's the period of time at which you like get all your spec energy back. I don't know. But the one I think it would be actually really good at is Ice Demon.
Yeah.
You could just spec the shit out of Ice Demon. And if I was joking a bit about it, if Volatile Nightmare Staff worked against Ice Demon, it does not. But if it did, that would be tech at Ice Demon. Just chopping trees and just repeatedly volatile specking Ice Demon.
Yeah.
It would go hard. I kind of wish you could do that, honestly. It'd be awesome.
I thought about it a little bit more, too. It would be like kind of cracked doing Slayer. You just like find whatever Slayer monster is near trees.
You're doing, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you just smack a tree and suddenly you have DDS or Claw or SGS spec constantly.
But that's kind of like Lightbearer does that.
Yeah, that I would argue that it is almost like a little bit of emergent gameplay,
right?
But I think it would be too broken.
That would be something that I would need a beta on.
Three swings of an axe to get 100% spec back, like.
Well, they would have to balance.
I don't know.
But they would just be more. So my only counterpoint to the Chambers and like the boss thing is they very specifically said that Forestry only works on certain types of trees. Yeah. It's not tree in general. So I'm sure it wouldn't.
While the base forestry changes only work on certain types of trees, we don't know where two-handed axes work because they most likely can be used as an axe anywhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. Like I said, that would definitely be something if they were making it spec energy. I'd be like, okay, this had some possible wide-reaching changes. This is something I'd want to try out in a beta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I'm hoping that once they get done with community consultation and things are going to be polled, that they figure out the beta.
Dude, I am
this kind of stuff.
So glad. I guess we're kind of moving into part 2 here a little bit.
Yeah, part 2.
I am so glad that they are polling the teas and the campfires and stuff. Because I voted no on the original teas and campfires because it just seemed like an extraneous system that didn't have any value to me. It just seemed there wasn't. It wasn't. That's actually not true. That's not why I voted.
It was just going to be spicy stews.
Yeah, that's not why I voted no, actually. The reason I voted no was because there was not enough clarification as to what these teas and campfires were going to do. They were like, maybe they'll give you stat boosts. Maybe they'll give you like actual interesting bonuses. And I was like, I need examples. I need something to go off here. Otherwise, we're going to end up with increased superior and slayer points and increased clues from the entire game. Because that's what happened. What?
Yeah, I don't understand the buff choices they made.
Those buffs are the exact reason why I voted no, because you end up with these wildly disconnected ideas from what woodcutting is, right?
Yeah.
The problem isn't that those buffs would exist, right? Theoretically, if you got those buffs from some kind of connected source, whatever, fine.
They already exist, by the way.
Yeah, to some degree, they do already exist. Like combat achievements, that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. It makes sense to get an increased superior chance from combat achievements because it's combat achievements. It is in some way directly tied to Slayer alongside the rest of combat. But tying all clue chance or all Slayer or all minigames to woodcutting seems very odd to me. It feels like there's definitely a disconnect there, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm off base there, but
I have a different opinion. I made this point on XP, but for me, I would be fine. I would have been fine had all the stuff that they originally had proposed came into the game, because two main points. It was optional, and the problem with it saying it's optional is when you say this is optional and it can potentially change the meta.
If it can boost efficiency, it's not optional. Unfortunately,
RuneScape players will look at
it's not going to be optional.
Yeah, they'll look at it as obligational,
and
that's the problem.
I am very much in that mindset, so that's what I immediately saw it as when I saw increased superior chance. I was like, oh, so I need to do woodcutting for Slayer EHP. Awesome, love that.
Right. So the second
once again,
point,
that's probably like kind of the elitist mindset, but. I'll completely admit to that.
Yeah. The second point that I had was it's optional, and when you look at a game, like a lot of people see this game in two camps. You have PVMers and you have skillers. But at the end of the day, we're playing RuneScape. And it doesn't seem outlandish to think that things in the game, your character's skill could bleed into other parts of the game. And it came to the realization, like, we're talking about, but I don't want skilling. I don't want to have to skill to be efficient at PVM. Well, the opposite is already true. If you're an Iron Man, how are you going to get a Dragon Axe? How are you going to get the best pickaxe in the game?
An optional game mode.
Sure. But if we didn't have the GE, well, actually no. So even with the GE, skillers are supplied with their best in slot items through PVM. So the opposite is already true. Why not just let it come from woodcutting? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We're not talking about two separate games where you have to like play a whole nother game to get something in your game. RuneScape as a whole is the game. Whether or not you like to skill, it doesn't really matter. It's RuneScape at the end of the day. That was my thought, and I don't like that it's separate.
I can see where you're coming from for that, and that does make sense, but like I think the healthier gameplay loop there is like you skill for supplies to help you PVM, and those supplies it's like food and ammo and potions and stuff like that.
Yeah, because that already exists in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, and you can make an argument that it's similar to like potion effects, but
it feels.
It just
I
feels.
think my issue with it is
enough.
It feels very drastic. It is a significant drastic change to the way skilling is affecting the other parts of the game, and it maybe once again, maybe someday when the game evolves more, like that will be fine, right? Mm-hmm. But as of right now, it feels far too drastic a change for me.
Yeah.
I mean, try too hard for you. He's a desert only Iron Man, but he's in Petscape, and he's been posting the RS3 wiki page for buffs you might want to consider, or things you might want to consider before doing woodcutting. And it's just like a list of like 30 items that you need to get before you can do efficient woodcutting.
That is one of the things that I think also a lot of people are afraid of when you start getting all these different systems that integrate with each other, is now if you want to, and this also once again kind of circles back to the idea of people seeing efficiency as an obligation, but it gets to the point where we don't want to get to the point where it's not even like an efficiency thing. It's that the amount of efficiency change that goes from just doing the skill versus doing the skill with all of these different things that you have now acquired is like a very drastic change in how you're interacting with that skill. And if you end up with too many systems like this that are somewhat drastic, not extremely drastic, but somewhat drastic, you will end up with a probably unhealthy gameplay loop, just kind of across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard for me to like, it's hard for me to put too much thought into the rewards that they chose because they mirror combat achievements so closely that to me,
is true, yeah.
It's not going to break the game if there's just another way that you can get the same effects. The ammo saving part was a little weird.
Honestly, that was the only one that I thought was okay.
The superior chance, the clues, the Slayer points, the minigame points, that's all combat achievement rewards. And if you just like...
those all already exist. I think the difference for me, though, is that combat achievements is a permanent unlock. You get it,
that's also true. That's very, very true.
But like, if I do like 20 hours... Yeah, if I do like 20 hours of clue hunting and I'm out of oak roots, do I then have to go do another like 5 hours of wood cutting?
Yeah, that one I don't like.
Get my roots
back?
But
they're talking about a lot of this stuff being tradable, so it's another thing to just boost the economy. I don't think this is going to be like you have to spend 10 hours collecting spices and teas and stuff that now you can go bossing as a main account. You can as an you have to do as an Iron Man, sure. But that's an optional game mode.
I was going to preface that with the fact that I am always very much a proponent of the game should not be designed for Iron Man. I play an Iron Man, and I don't think the game should be designed for Iron Man. It should be designed with the main account progression system in mind first. There should be
consideration for both.
But I can't help but voice my grievances about some of this when it comes to Iron Man, you know?
Yeah, so. I mean, Mod, Aiza, and Sween were on the Sabecast recently, and they were talking about, like, the game, although popular perception is that updates are made specifically with Iron Man in mind, a lot of the game is just designed in ways that, like, or they're trying to design in ways that it wouldn't be annoying for the average player, and that just so happens to also help Iron Man, because, Iron Men are players too.
Yeah. Girls as players too.
I don't know. I don't like the idea of
it feels a little too far
having to either buy or gather the oak roots every time I want to go do clues. Because I like me my clues.
Yeah, I'd be once again
with maxing. That's what I'm going to be doing.
It definitely does feel kind of like that. Separating skilling from PVM kind of thing, and I definitely get where that's coming from, but. My brain immediately goes to, if they want tertiary effects for teas, they could just make it so that there's a bunch of different teas that affect which type of nest you get from woodcutting. And that probably does make it a little more boring from that perspective, because it's like, now it's just affecting woodcutting.
Right.
But it's definitely a more safe approach, Well,
yeah, if you scroll down on the blog, they kind of outlined, you guys took our fun, so here's some more boring stuff that we could add as rewards. And all of that stuff seems like dead content on release.
I completely disagree.
Really?
I'm drinking the ones that give you egg nests 100% of the time. Because I want to get the evil chicken outfit. I'm
more
drinking
bird's
those...
nest while cooking or while woodcutting. There's not one that gives you more eggs nests specifically.
Yes, but that's what I want.
That's what you want.
That's what I want.
That's what you're hoping for.
Yes. I think it'd be interesting because, like, I think of the different types of nests you can get from woodcutting, the two that people value the most are the clue nests and the bird egg nests, because those ones are like the kind of more unique ones. The seed nests and the ring nests, nobody really cares. And empty nests, obviously, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
I think if
people are doing nest content for the empty nests or for the eggs for the collection log.
So I think that having an egg nest one specifically and a clue nest one, or even just clues from all of skilling, I think is fine. Once again, kind of a safe approach to it, but I think it would definitely pass, and I would use them. Like, I do a lot of skilling, and I'll probably do a fair amount of woodcutting, and that doesn't feel too much like an obligation, because clues from skilling, it's not a preferred method of getting clues anyways, right?
Yeah.
So just getting more from skilling, I'm just like, oh, hell yeah, that's a nice little bonus.
Right.
It doesn't feel as much like an obligation or a extreme increase in efficiency.
Right. I think, if I'm being honest, I think increased clue chance is just lazy. It's overdone. A lot of things give you increased clues. So the ones that they outlined were increased chance to not burn food while cooking on a fire.
Just where cooking came.
Food cooks on a fire.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Increased.
I'm here at Hosidia's kitchen right now, man. I ain't cooking on a fire. You kidding?
There is a single fire players use, and that is in the Rogue's Den.
Nope, Barbarian Village.
Barbarian Village, but you know what?
Barbarian Village.
You hear some fun lore.
The permanent fire that people cook their fucking salmon and trout on. You ever played free to play, man? Come on.
You want to hear fun?
Okay, I'm sorry. There's two fires they use.
There's two fires.
Rogue's Den is literally adjacent to a bank, so people use that one.
So fun lore that I don't know if this has been fact checked, but I think this is just like, this is headcanon for me. The fire in Barbarian Village, the one that's there forever, I've heard that that's the fire that Zezma got 99 fire making on. Like, he made that fire and it never went out.
I also
probably
have no idea
not
if that's
true, but
I
that's
love
now
that.
my headcanon too. Yeah,
That's great lore. I love that.
Increased bird's nest while wood cutting. I miss them anyway. So, and they,
like I said,
at least they don't despawn instantly like they used to.
True. But you're just gonna get more of them, and then fires burn longer. Tell me why that is.
Nobody wants just like a Huh?
So you could not burn your food for longer.
Yeah, so you could make a longer lasting fire and cook food more frequently on it.
I think fires that burn shorter would be more useful, so that you could line fire more efficiently.
I'd be down for that.
Flex X amount more arrow shafts. That's useful, actually.
That one's okay, yeah. That one's kind of a little more out there one that I'm like, okay, I appreciate where you're going with that one.
Yeah, it's an Iron Man thing.
But yeah, definitely an Iron Man thing, so.
And that's it. That's their proposal. Those are early game, like early brainstorm ideas.
Yeah.
I definitely hope the community can come up with some ideas.
Yeah, I hope the community and they come up with some more outlandish ones, because I'm not against like some somewhat drastic ones that are a little bit exciting, right? But the ones that were proposed were definitely just a little too far reaching, in my opinion. I just want an egg nest one though. I'd drink that all day.
You make a Reddit post, see if they'll do it. Make a Reddit post.
I will say, when you were talking about, too many things give increased clue chance, I disagree. I think we need more increased clue chance.
Yeah, well, you just want more clues. Shut up.
I do want more clues, but getting the fastest way to get an elite clue is still like an hour long on a 2200 total world, killing Callisto in a mass. Like, why is it so long to get elites?
Because
I think it's like
I don't even want to get
minutes,
don't get me started on elite clues. That'd be another hour conversation. But you don't get elite clues from skilling, so that's not even going to be
not true.
No, you can.
You can get elite
you do.
clue bottles and stuff.
Yep.
Oh
yeah.
Well, maybe that's where we want to see it then.
A lot of elites actually.
Maybe the thing should be
skilling.
like higher tier clues.
Ooh, I'd be down for that.
Like you would roll more higher tier clues while skilling.
Oh, I love that.
That's something that's kind of like reaching a little bit. But I'm not like immediately disgusted by that one. I'm like, actually, I'm kind of down for that. If I could if I could 2-tick teaks for optimal elite clues, Honestly, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll do it. That's like kind of wild and wacky, and I kind of like it. I'm down.
Send it.
As long as it's not like drastically better, right? I'd love for it to be insane, but it just because of the way this community works, if it is insane, it won't make it to the game.
Yeah,
but if it's like comparable or even a little bit better than current elite methods, I'm down. I'll do it, man. I'll fucking do it.
Then I'm tired of this community wanting to change meta. I've said it multiple times, but it's like just go play a private server if you just want your consistent game. Like I want the game to be more fun.
People threw a hissy fit when Hollowed Sepulchre came out, and the XP rates for agility got buffed.
Don't get me I think I already talked about it on the podcast, but don't get me started on the Hollowed Sepulchre changes. I had never been more angry at the community.
I was mad when they changed the mining XP rate from beneath or below Ice Mountain. It was actually good mining XP for like 2 hours. And then they're like, oops, didn't mean to do that. That upsets free-to-play players. They're not even paying you, Jagex.
Wild.
It's because there's like a really vocal, like competitive free-to-play community.
Care. I really don't care.
Yeah, it's
you
so
tell
dumb.
It, man. I so agree.
Like, free-to-play finally got a bone. They got some content that was, like, actually good for them. And was, honestly, kind of fun for free-to-play. I did a little bit of that mining for some collection log slots. I have that freaking hammer in my inventory right now. And it's just...
If free-to-play ever wonders why they're not getting more updates, that vocal minority is the reason.
Right. They should not be catering to a niche community for, like, the livelihood of new players. Like you have people all the time, my brother included, who was like, I don't know if I want to commit, $12 to play this game right now. So I'm going to stick to free to play for now. And
free to play sucks.
Terrible gameplay.
It's awful. Let's be honest. It's completely it's largely unrepresentative of what actually makes this game fun.
Yeah, I would highly agree.
We have a friend that was like, aha, I'm going to get 69 all in free-to-play. And who would have thunk he burnt out before he got even close to that, because free-to-play skilling is slow and boring.
Yeah, it was...
Do you remember what his username is, so I can look him up and flame him?
Yeah, keep it in if you want, I guess. For privacy reasons, maybe get it out. But Beep was his username.
Beep.
Okay. I don't even know if
he did actually make it somewhat far, all things considered, but he got to like prayer, and guess what?
Yeah,
it
he's
sucks.
Base 60s. He's everything is 60 except for mining, which is 62.
And like that's exactly where you'd expect him to start falling off, right? Because once you get to like 60,
oh my gosh,
once you get to like 50 and 60, the levels start going a lot slower, especially in free to play.
Okay.
You know what the free-to-play meta for prayer is? Burying big bones. There's no better way.
Actually, there is a better way. You combo big bones into whatever the best tier of ashes is in free-to-play, because you can do them same tick.
You can do ashes in free-to-play?
Yeah.
There's demons in free-to-play.
Yeah, demons and
lesser demons are free-to-play.
Right? I didn't know the ashes were available to them. I assumed it just gave you like regular ashes in free-to-play.
Nope.
Interesting. Okay.
Up to
meta changing, and it's still there.
Whoa!
But like, free-to-play rune crafting is like tiaras for like the best XP an hour.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's terrible. I don't wish that on my worst enemy.
Here's a potentially controversial statement, but I think that they should have more free-to-play updates.
Totally.
I would love it, but I don't think it'll ever happen because of what we discussed earlier. I think that they're very happy with the player base that they have currently, and they don't see free to play as an option. I don't think they currently view free to play as a method of drawing in new players, and so as such, it holds no value to them, and it would make no sense for them financially to support free to play.
Right.
I think that if they did enough changes, that free to play could be kind of fun and could be an intro to the game that would make people excited to pay for the game and therefore would become a financial incentive. But as it stands right now, because free to play kind of sucks, it's not worth their investing their time. And I think the amount of time it would take to invest in order to make it a method of drawing in new players is not worth it.
I don't even think they need to do that much, though.
Yeah, free-to-play content.
I genuinely have no idea they would do it. So.
Free-to-play content is just inherently low level and therefore dead content to 80% of the player base, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I kind of like what they did with RS3, where you got access to everything, but to a certain point.
Yeah,
I think you get access to all the member skills, but it stops at a certain point, and you get a little taste.
More like a traditional MMO.
Yeah,
yeah. I think that would be fine.
If you want more, subscribe.
Especially with just like, the Draenor agility course exists, so let them do that if they want. And then they can only level that to like 20 or 30. I don't know. I don't care.
It would help with a lot of like. Have you ever been on a free to play world with your 99 agility and it's like it doesn't exist? It's very bad.
No, actually, agility is one of the few skills that continues to work in free to play.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. They never patched it to not work in free to play, unlike in RS.
Your graceful doesn't work though.
Gotcha. True. Wait, so I could just like no life agility for a bond for 14 days, and then get 99 agility, and then
Good
continue
luck 14
not
days,
pay.
But
you don't know me. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. It took me what is it, like 2.5 months to go from 90 to 99.
Yeah.
Just
I have 99 on the main, and I did 90 whatever the requirement for last tier of Sepulchre is. Is it 91 or 92? I don't remember. I did 92 to 99 at Sepulchre. So
damn.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing it again soon.
I'll probably join you because I think agility is going to be my next non-viable skill that I train.
Yeah, I'm smashing out 99 cooking right now because I realized I had like 20,000 grapes from my Zora grind, and that was like 4 million XP. And then I have like another 10 million XP in uncooked Karambwans. So I was like, you know what? I got 99 HP recently. I got 99 farming recently. Let's just keep the 99s flowing. I'm gonna get 99 cooking.
Hell yeah. So we've been tangenting for a while.
Yep.
We talked about the leaves, but we didn't talk about their cousin, the campfire.
I know nothing about campfires.
It's literally leaves, but it's an AoE instead.
Oh, okay.
Or teas, but it's an AoE. So
I don't think
campfires
can have tertiary effects, though.
You might be right. I don't remember.
I believe because the reason I think that is because tertiary effects are listed specifically under teas, and I believe they have some wording that makes it very clear that they can only be used in teas.
It says if you rest, you just get the benefit of the tea. So, or that you would get from the tea.
Look at where they actually talk about tertiary effects, though. I believe there's some wording there that because tertiary effects are talked about.
Open beta blog, or
maybe I don't remember.
Or the Forestry Next Steps blog.
I want to say it was in the open beta. Yeah, it was in the open beta. Yeah, not only can you use your leaves in campfires, blah blah blah. I don't know, using roots. Oh yeah, using roots via campfires and teas. No, yeah, never mind. I'm wrong.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, eat shit.
Yeah, that's terrible then. Never mind.
Yeah, so yeah, it's the same thing. It's just, you can give it to other players around you. It's less portable. I think that's, if we get teas, then campfires, sure. I don't really care.
Yeah. The tertiary effects that were originally pulled would have been possibly kind of crazy as campfires.
The main thing is we're getting bonfires.
This seems like a nothing to me. I don't understand why this was such a big deal.
People on Reddit were freaking out about it.
This seems like literally nothing. Like, sure, whatever. Add bonfires to the game. If they're reduced XP, like I want lighting fire lines to be better because lighting fire lines is hilarious. I just love that that's the best way of trading fire making. But as long as lighting or adding logs to a bonfire is slower and less and maybe less XP per log, I don't care. Whatever. I don't understand why this is such a big deal.
They said
Are you familiar
25%.
with bonfires, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they said it was going to be 25% of what you could normally expect.
Yeah, I saw
to do
that.
bonfires,
and like,
which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Even if it had
people
been
on Reddit were freaking out though, saying like it was ruining the game adding this.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Oh my gosh, that's just
even
RS3. People who hate RS3.
Even
crying.
if it was 100%, log to fire making ratio, as long as it was just slower than lighting fire lines.
Well, okay, so I think it is going to be the same amount of XP, but it is slower.
It's not. I'm 99% sure it's reduced XP.
Yeah, it's less XP per log.
Oh, okay.
I think because they were anticipating people, being a little pissed babies
crying
about
RS3.
it.
I mean, 25%, you could get it one way or the other, right? It's 25% at the end of the day.
Who cares? It's
you
fire.
Like you
at
use
the end of the day,
log slower or give you less XP.
Also, at the end of the day, it's fire making.
It's fire making.
Who cares? We live in a post-Wintertot world.
As the local fire making enthusiast, who cares? Just let me light fires and let me use fires in ways that
honestly
aren't just lighting a fire.
All I care about is that lighting fire lines is still the best training method because, like I said, I just think that's hilarious, and that's like peak old school. Just something that I love to see. When I see someone lighting fire lines, I'm like,
need a better method.
I love that. Yeah, I thought that the uproar over campfire or bonfires as campfires just made no sense to me. I don't know.
It's literally just people crying because it's like RS3.
Yeah, if it's a good mechanic from RS3, who cares?
I agree.
If it's a bad mechanic from RS3, I'll scream about it every day of the week.
I want to throw fire. I want to throw logs at a fire with the boys. Stand at the GE, have some terrible Wintertot conversations.
Let's go, dude. I am so happy that we can sit around a campfire in this game now. That's awesome.
You're still going to have to be near a bank, but that's I don't know. I'm happy about it.
I'm down, man.
Instead of having lines of fire at the GE, you will just have like all the boys standing around one big bonfire.
And then there'll be the one guy still doing fire lines because he wants the efficient XP, and it'll be funny. It'll be great. Everyone will have a jolly time.
It'd be really cool if they changed the flame depending on what log was thrown in. So, like, if you throw a magic log in there, people know you're wasting money.
I want that to be a global woodcutting change or a global fire making change.
Yeah,
I want fires that you light normally to show which kind of logs they were lit with.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't.
I think fire making could have some like cool things they could add for it to make it an actual skill, but it just never will happen.
Imagine they pulled fire making as a skill. That would never pass.
People would laugh. They would actually laugh.
This is a joke.
23. Okay, out of the 23 skills, maybe like 10 of them people wouldn't laugh at.
True.
Yeah.
If they
what if they pulled strength, guys? I hate that argument.
Pulling Slayer in 2023.
People would go ballistic with like, this is so OP.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Or why would I have to have someone else tell me what to kill? I could just go kill stuff myself.
Yeah, and also this would, it would be a huge Iron Man thing. It's like people already complain about like, oh, I need 87 Slayer to get Trident. That sucks. Mm-hmm. It's annoying. And like this would never pass because the Iron Men would just be so upset. It's like, oh. And I don't even think that would be an Iron Man thing because nobody would have any levels in the skill and the items wouldn't exist in the market. People would be like, you have to do this skill to get these like insane PVM items? What?
I think it would just be that you could just kill the boss without the level required. So people would just be able to camp Sire. They would be able to kill Hydra. And there wouldn't be like a secondary or like a primary lock to it. But things like fletching, why would we... Like warding got shot down for that very reason. Yeah. Why do we need a way to make the stuff we can just buy from a shop?
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
Well, I think part of why
is fletching not just crafting,
Yeah, well, that was the thing is I think warding got shot down because rune crafting was terrible and still kind of is terrible. And they were like, why not?
This was a pre-Guardians of the Rift.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said was terrible and is still terrible because let's be honest, runecraft still isn't that great. My favorite skill in the game, but I'll acknowledge every day of the week that it kind of sucks.
I think you're a bit jaded, but
I definitely am. But
getting 99 twice.
And a third time if you count my original account that I know.
Yeah, okay. Getting it 3 times, it does things to a man.
I mean, I'll be honest, the only reason I like rune crafting is probably just nostalgia. It's just rose tinted glasses. I loved the skill as a kid because I thought it was cool that I could make my own runes and tell the GE or the player shops to suck it. I don't need to buy your runes. I can make them myself. I liked that.
I wish I had that mindset back in the day, but I chose cooking as my first 99.
But yeah, I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about now. God damn it.
Dang it. Warding crafting.
Yeah, warding. So, they were like, oh, we can just put all that into warding, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that to a degree, fletching kind of has its place because there's like the fletching is to, well, no, not even that actually, because fletching is to ranged, but also crafting is to ranged. So I don't know. Yeah. Weird. Because you have the smithing is supposed to be to melee, and then crafting is to ranged, and then rune crafting would theoretically be to mage, but that doesn't even work out because you need to use smithing to make arrow tips. So
I don't know. It's a weak association that's kind of done ad hoc. I don't think the Gower brothers, when they were making the skills, really had any.
No, they just wanted to pump content in the game. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Back then, it was just ad stuff to keep the players around. Yeah, right. and they were also just chilling, enjoying themselves, making the game, making money. They were like, hell yeah, we can make money making this video game that we like. Let's fucking go. And they just added stuff because they thought it was cool and they could do it.
Apparently, RS3 at some point made firemaking useful.
All fired up.
By requiring smithing to need heat. And you can heat bars with firemaking. Yeah.
I don't think that would ever make it into the game, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And there's
want Jagex. I want
other stuff you can do, but it's mostly distractions and diversions and minigame stuff.
Finally, we wouldn't fucking cold smith. I love the idea that we just beat the shit out of cold bars to smith things. It's wild.
Yeah.
I want the mods to grow some balls and actually do a smithing and mining rework like they did in RS3.
Yeah.
Are we talking compress the skill so that rune isn't at the top? Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
As long as we got some community consultation, it made sense and it was in the game in a way that made any sense at all. Yeah. I think it needs to happen. I totally agree. I spoke previously. I think it'd be fine if we got orichalcum smithing. Obviously, the drops in the game that are coveted, like the full helm and the plate body, don't let us smith that. Mm-hmm. But being able to smith dragon ammunition, or even just I could smith my own dragon chain body.
Right.
Sure,
or a dragon. Why not? If you got high enough, make a dragon axe.
Why not? Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah,
and obviously getting orichalcum bars wouldn't be trivial. So they can completely control that part of the economy as well. Still, why not?
I mean, a runite bar is 12,500 GP. It's not super expensive, but I'm sure they could somehow make Dragonite bars very expensive.
I mean, my initial thought is that mining it would be a very tough spot. You'd probably have to mine it through some mini game that was pretty rare chance to get it from. It wouldn't be a traditional rock, most likely. But my guess is mostly you'd get orichalcum ore through PVM.
Yeah, I would like to see a dragon that you kill it and then you mine its heart.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The dragon.
The dragon.
Yeah, and then while you're mining it, you get various ores, and it's one of the few places. Yeah, heart fragments, stuff like that, and then you have the various chance to get whatever. Maybe you get the ore itself, or maybe you get fragments that allow you to refine it into ores and bars. Yeah,
mining Todd.
Mining Todd.
Volcano 2.
Guys, we're talking about woodcutting here today. You just said
at this point we're just calling about. At this point we're just talking about skilling.
Yeah.
Because it's important, right?
I love skilling.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the cast, like I used to pretty much exclusively play this game for skilling, and nowadays I play it for a lot of PVM. But I definitely haven't lost the part of me that likes skilling. It's definitely deteriorated a little bit. I've found the more exciting parts of the game, and going back to something like regular agility, I'm like, wow, okay, I understand why people always said this skill sucks. This is kind of boring. But then you have something in the game like Sepulchre and all the newer stuff that they're adding to skills that make them more engaging and exciting. So I don't know. I'm down for these changes. It's cool.
I mean, I've been going hard on skilling lately, but I definitely.
Yeah, did you want to talk about Giants Foundry at all? I remember you saying you had some opinions about that after doing swords.
So okay, I'm going to be really brief about this.
How many swords have you done? I didn't know this information.
Game.
You can check in the collection log.
I can check in the collection log. Okay. Minigame, Giants Foundry. There it is. 123.
Okay, so I still have more than you.
Log.
I have 172.
Fair, you probably completed the collection log, and I'm also doing Rune Knight Addy. Oh, okay.
I am not even close to completing the collection log. I need I have the Smith's outfit and the Cannonball mold, and I have all the molds that you actually use in the video game, in the minigame.
Yeah, there's 2 that you don't buy because they're just pointless.
I bought all of them. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like 200 points. Who cares?
Yeah, fair. Anyways, gonna keep this really brief. Giants Foundry is somewhat engaging, but not engaging enough that I actually want to pay attention to it. But you're punished if you don't pay full attention to it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it ends up being really annoying more than like fun to do.
I can kind of agree with that. I still think it's good content. It goes in the right direction, but I think that it does something of that caliber. I would like to be a little more engaging. It would be interesting to see an update where perhaps they added some more steps to it, but I doubt it'll ever see anything more.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like if you look away for like 3 seconds, you look back and suddenly your sword's taking damage, and you're just like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to spend the next 2 minutes smithing the sword for reduced points.
Skill issue, honestly. Get good.
Because I looked away for 5 seconds. I don't know. It's still better than...
Yeah, it's better than just anviling, you know?
Yeah, or Blast Furnace.
Blast Furnace is annoying. I'm not a huge fan of Blast Furnace. I really wish, I'd be fine if they added a tea that halved the amount of coal I needed a regular furnace. I know you can use the catalyst from Giants Foundry to do that, but, let's make it so more skills can do that for me, because I hate Blast Furnace, and I'll do anything to get away from it.
What if you could just straight up use the leaves in place of coal?
Ooh, I'm down for that.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you could use some of the leaves, you couldn't use, all leaves.
Or like you need certain leaves for certain ores.
Yeah, maybe.
This is becoming a bit unhinged.
Listen, man.
Yeah, anyways.
The way I've always seen, adding updates to the game that are kind of drastic is we should fix the parts of the game that suck, that I hate, right?
Let's do that easy scape.
Right, because I'm okay with the idea of like, okay, we don't want to change these metas, right? But if we add things that allow us to do the same thing that we can already do, but I don't want to kill myself as much while playing the game, because the whole point of playing a video game is to have fun, I'm down for that. I feel like a lot of people get lost in like, efficiency scape, playing the game like a job, not wanting to devalue the achievements they already have. But at the end of the day, everybody here is playing a video game and we want to have fun. And if you're not having fun, why are you still playing the game?
I think Forestry will be a fun update.
That encapsulates my whole thought on this game.
Yeah. I feel like there's too many people in this community that they're just not having fun and they refuse to admit it and they keep playing the game as an obligation.
Mm-hmm. It's an addiction at that point.
Yeah. And it's not healthy for you.
There's days I log in and I don't really feel like it, but I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's times that I'm logging in and I'm having fun. Like there's a good balance, but there are people.
There are people that log into the game every single day, and every day they're like, "Wow, I hate this game."
Yep.
And they still argue about
it's
all this weird stuff on Reddit.
That's such a weird place.
I'm probably. I kind of doubt any of those people are listening to this podcast. And if they are, I kind of am surprised that they are like 3 hours into this episode of the podcast, because I feel like they'd rage quit the podcast at some time with some of the stuff we've been saying. But man, if any of you guys are listening, get some help. Play a different game. I don't know, man.
Right.
Enjoy your life.
Genuinely. I think
go play some Minecraft.
Yeah, play some fun, man. Play some Minecraft. Play some like Terraria. Play Factorio. Factorio is pretty fun. Satisfactory. Play a shooter. I don't know. Whatever you're into, man.
Yeah. But with that, I think we have to call it quits here. We've hit the legendary 3-hour episode.
Ooh.
The last one I edited down to just under 3 hours.
I would have loved to have talked about the quest survey, but yeah, we definitely shouldn't.
Yeah.
Too much time.
Tune in next time. Guthix Rest.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about that next episode, but we won't have Michael's opinion.
Oh,
because I assume you don't want to come back.
I'll come back whenever you want.
Yeah, maybe in the future. Yeah.
Maybe you guys get Oxy on. Oh, get Oxy to come on for that one. The man loves quests.
Similarly, don't know anything about him, so I'd love to sit down and chat, because it was great sitting down and chatting with you. It's been a fun time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
So I don't really do much for my personal socials.
So
I mean, if you want to find me, it's like at Bloodhound RS most of the time. But at XP Waste Pod on a lot of stuff. And then at XP Waste Pod or at XP Waste Podcast if you want to find us on social media. We have Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Maybe
we'll never
TikTok?
make a Facebook. TikTok,
yeah.
TikTok is less. TikTok is less used, but we're there. And then if you want to talk to me specifically, you can find me on Discord. My DMs are they're open to the sense that like I get a message request and I read them, but I can't guarantee I'll reply.
Yeah, I would highly recommend anyone that's for some reason listening to this podcast and hasn't heard XP Waste already, check them out. It's a great podcast. Also
you can
part
also
of
join
the
TNL.
TNL clan.
Yeah.
Good clan.
If you haven't heard XP Waste and you are listening to this podcast, let me know what you think of XP Waste if you give it a try. Always looking to improve.
Tell them the boys at Guthix Rest sent you, because that would be insane if anybody said that and like meant it. I would be genuinely surprised.
Yeah. But if you want to hear more of our stuff, make sure you follow on Spotify or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, or YouTube if Bird ever gets around to getting.
We'll see.
8 episodes
down. I got like 300 Krakens I need to kill. Might do some editing when I do that.
Prime time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Guthix Rest Pod on Twitter, as well as on YouTube. Same thing. We have a Patreon where you can give us money for almost no benefit. Yet I'm sure we'll come up with something. Same with Ko-fi. If you just want to give us a one-time donation, that is available. And you can follow our personal Twitters where we never tweet. Those will all be linked down below.
Let's go.
And bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Cue outro music.